Hello, and welcome to my channel. It's the Network Specialist. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know each and every time I upload a video. Today, I will be reacting to Carlos King and Dr. Heavenly's Messy Mondays. A throuple was revealed. Now, let's get into it. So before we get started, hey, kicking it with Courtney. Thank you so much for being here, sis. Hey, Mama Bees. So before we get started, I wanted to start off by breaking down the timeline that was revealed by Marques, I think it is, in this interview. So Marques and Trisha was married on May 19th of 2006. Trisha was 18 and Marques was 19. Okay. And so they were married for a period of time and things started to go wrong. So it was October of 2020 when Marques moved upstairs. Hey, Linda Gamble. And during that same period of time in 2020, it's also when Martell was leaving the house to go to the gym. So that connection was definitely made at the same time. But Marquez also revealed that him and Trish was still being intimate as well. Okay. And then after moving upstairs, and still, cohabitating with Trisha, still having dinners together, still sleeping together. In June or July of 2021, he moved out and he got an apartment somewhere down the street, around the corner, something like that. Okay. And then he moved to Atlanta in 2022. Marquez also revealed that Trish and Ken's first interaction was in 2018 to 2019. That's when they first interacted. That's when Ken was sending Trisha the chocolate emojis or whatever the case may be. And then they officially, you know, got together in 2022. Okay. And one thing that Trish did tell Marquez is that Ken was husband body goals. He was the husband body goals of her dreams. So she was really into Ken's body type. And Trish also told Marquez that the reason she loves Ken is that he worships the ground that she walks on. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into it. And there's a couple of things that I want us to kind of figure out along this journey. And one of the things is I want us to just take a deep dive and figure out, do we believe that Marquez is a deadbeat dad? That's number one. And we also need to figure out if Marquez is slow, mentally challenged, or whatever the case may be, because there's a few people that seems to think that Marquez is slow, but then there's some people that thinks that Marquez is smart, you know, not slow at all. He's very smart, and they love the way that Marquez is playing this game. And we also want to figure out, did Marquez put down a 5,000 deposit to help Trish move into a new house that Ken could have potentially moved in this new house? And then we also want to figure out, this did Trisha lie about Martell because she was messing around with Martell and Ken at the same time, and that's why she tried so hard to hide the fact that she slept with Martell, because she was messing around with Martell and Ken at the same time. Okay, so those are some of the things I want you guys to pay attention to as we listen to the replay of the interview, so that we can share our thoughts at the end and figure these things out.
Thank you so much. I love you, and I'll say this again publicly. Thank you so much for contributing to the Love and Marriage franchise in the way you have. I can't wait until Marriage and Mesa comes back.
Hey, sound checking that.
Show too, but I appreciate your input so much so we have a guest that I haven't met either. I feel like for the past 2 weeks we've been in the.
And guys, do you think it's strange that Carlos revealed that he never met Ken, he never met Trish, and he never met Marquez? It's just like, I think everybody before them, he actually met them and invited them to come onto the show. But for some reason, it seems like they were like a last minute decision. And he didn't even take the time to really meet them and vet them.
Growth of Trisha. Last week we had Trisha's boyfriend, Ken. And tonight we are joined by Trisha's husband, Marques.
Yes, how you doing? How you doing? Hi, Dr. Heavenly. Hi, Carlos.
How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for letting me on your platform. And hopefully,
Hey, Mama B.
Dr. Heavenly, hopefully by the end of this interview I'll be extended some grace.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
I'm definitely
Hey, Mama Dama.
No, Marques, thank you so much for
Hey, Toot Latrice, my good sis.
To excuse me, agreeing to be a part of this show, a part of the storyline that your current wife has as relates to everything she has going on. Because at the end of the day, and I want the world to know this, you could say no. You could say, no, I'm good. I don't want to do it. You said yes, and we are still filming, and you're continuing to say yes. So I wanted you to hear from me that I appreciate you for doing the show and for telling the story of what happens with couples and families that isn't always peachy. So thank you for doing that. I know it's not easy. So Dr. Heaven and I are going to ask you a few questions.
Well, I want to say something. I almost did not do the show. I want to clarify because I'm here to be transparent, open, and I'm very much. I feel like I know I've been portrayed in 5 minutes to basically. It seems that everyone has opinion on my whole entire life. So with that being said, when this opportunity to be on Love and Marriage was presented to me, it was presented to me in a whole different way, and it wasn't Love and Marriage. So for almost 2 months, I was not told that they were filming. I got a email asking for my daughter to have a release form to film, and she told me that it was a pilot for a dance show, which my daughter's a dancer. Into fashion.
Now, guys, that further proves that Trisha is really a liar. She's very conniving, deceitful, and she tried to trick this man into signing a release for their daughter to be on the show. And he had no idea what his daughter was actually getting into.
So, I decided.
Get back this video in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
and Toot Latrice says, I wonder under what circumstances will a producer not meet the cast? That's a good question because at the beginning of the show, they made it seem like anybody that was going to be on the show had to sit down with Carlos. They had to have this meeting. But it seems like lately they've just been allowing people to just come on the show. Maybe they're meeting on a Zoom call or something like that. But it's nothing like what the initial 6 cast members had to do to be on the show.
Trisha told me, she sent me the email saying, hey, can you do, I have been doing this, interview. And I'm going to be honest, we're going to be transparent. The only reason.
You're right, Toot Latrice.
I was willing to do a cease and desist. I was willing to copyright names. Like, I'm a pretty smart guy. And I also have background in entertainment. And I really am a behind the scenes type of person. I'm not a person who wants to put themselves out there. I understand what comes with this. I understand when you put yourself in a position where people can pick and they can choose things out of your life that it can affect you and it can affect multiple people around you, including my mother, my grandmother, all these other things. But I knew, and this is no call out to anybody in any production or anything, but the reason why I chose to do the show because my son, after Trish told me that finally it was Love and Marriage, when I read the paper, like when I read that it was a release, then she said, "Hey, can you come in and talk about our divorce?" And I said, "How long y'all been filming?" She said, "For like, a few months." And I'm like, "Well, obviously y'all already have a portrayal, so I need to know what's really going on." So I went and met with Marques, and me and Marques is the producer of the show, have very similar stories.
And we'll talk about him and Marcus in a minute. Mama Dama said Dr. Hellish is here for the parking meter monkey. They are all liars. Absolutely, Mama Dama. I totally agree with you. They are all liars, and they just, lie their way through to make everything look good for themselves in the public view. And so he said that, he reached out to this guy named Marcus, and he talks like, him and Marcus really hit it off. But what they forget is Marcus is a producer, and Marcus is going to say whatever it is that he needs to say to get you to spill the beans to help you come up with a good storyline. So they're really not your friends, just in case you didn't know that, Marquez.
So, and Marcus is the real reason why I decided to take a chance on it, because I told him, "Hey, I don't play on, this is my real life.
Okay.
It's reality TV, but
Marcus said, now how I get
in
in.
the end, it really is my reality, and I've always come from the beginning to be transparent and open and honest. And yes, I have my emotions, but I wear my emotions on my sleeves. But I'm not so emotional that I'm not aware, and I'm just making irrational decisions. But one of the key reasons why is because my son said he was filming, and he said, "Dad, they keep asking me questions as if I'm going to change.
Hey, Alf Mac.
As if I'm not, as if I don't talk to you." And that was the moment when I said, "Okay, I'm going to film it," because
now that's the first clue. When his son revealed to him and said, they keep asking me the same questions as if I'm going to change my mind. So his son felt comfortable enough to say that to him. So that's the first clue that Marquez might not be a deadbeat dad, that he does have regular conversations with his son. And keep in mind, his son is older, between the ages of 14, 16. I'm not sure. I know he is driving. So maybe Trish and Ken doesn't know every time he speaks to his dad, because he is old enough to have a relationship with his dad without them knowing, and without him letting his mom know, "Hey, I'm going to call my dad." And Mama B said, in my opinion, CK is trying to recreate the drama between Mel, Martell, and Coleslaw, but it ain't working. That's a good point, Mama B's. And we're going to get into that when Marceau said that Marquez was Melody and Trish was Martell. We're going to get into that as well. And Mama Dama said, Carlucifer does these interviews to have something to talk about. These interviews are actually better than the show. So I'm glad he's doing these interviews, because this is where you get the real tea, Mama Dama. And Alf Mac said, Marquez loves to word salad. Okay, that's how he answers a question. Okay, so Alf Mac, it sounds like you're leaning towards the fact that he might be a little slow. And Mama Dama says, lies, lies, lies. I don't believe any of them, and I don't either. They all are just liars, and we have to play detective and figure all this shit out. And okay, and let's get back.
Clearly, I don't know what's been said for 2 months. That's in December, January. By March is when I made the decision. So, but at this point, I'm here.
So basically, Marquis said that was from December and January. They had been filming, and keep in mind, we didn't, from what we know, filming didn't start till January, when supposedly Martell got arrested. That's when filming supposedly started. But according to Marquez, they had been filming a couple of months before that. So, that's looking to be like it's a lie, and they were cooking up something before the season even started, before they started taping. And Mama Dama wants to know, why was he crying in the restaurant? He said the reason why he gets emotional is, to keep from crashing out, because he shows his emotions, because if he just does what he wants to do, he's going to crash out. And he's trying to refrain from doing that because he doesn't want to get in no trouble and go to jail. And Toot Latree said, I was able to follow him. I think he was excited. Excited? Mm. And Alpmac said, no, I don't think Marques is slow at all. I think he's another big band like the Scotts Brothers. As we get into this interview, he made a point of saying that he always came home every single night. He never spent any time away from the home while they were actually, living in the marital home and together. So he kind of put it out there like he wasn't this cheating, guy like most of the other castmates on the show, and that he was a good husband coming home every night. So he wanted to make it clear that he's not, a hoe like a lot of the other people that's on this show. And Mama Dama said he did this interview to show Ken up, please. Okay. And I think he did a good job of doing it. And Alf Mac said, man, that nigga ran around the Marbury bush several times before he answered any question. Okay, so you guys have a good, you already kind of like, y'all have already pegged Marques and y'all already made a decision about Marques. And Mama Dama said, right. And Courtney said he answers just like Trisha. They both long-winded. Okay. And Toot Latree says excited in the way he had so much to say and wanted to provide all the facts. Okay. Got it. And Mama Dama said, why did he leave his home? Okay, he pretty much said that he was just dead inside. He was just there. He wasn't happy. He was miserable. His first step was to stay in the home, and he just moved upstairs to, I guess, his daughter's bedroom or whatever. And then after that didn't work, he moved down the street. That didn't work. So ultimately, he moved to Atlanta. And Alpha Toot Latrice said, Alpha those Libras for real. I'm married to one and I'm a Libra. So I can tell you all about the Libras. But the September and the October Libras are a little bit different. And we found out during this interview that him and Carlos have the very same birthday, which is October 2nd. So they're October Libras. I'm a September Libra.
Here, it is what it is right now. It's very much still an ongoing situation.
That's a good point, Courtney.
Sensitive to the mother of my children. I want to call with respect, but I'm also not going to hold back. So whatever questions you have for me, I'm open, I'm willing, and I'm ready. And Dr.
So guys, Marquez said that he's going to be sensitive to the mother of his children, but he is not going to hold back. So whatever they want to know, he's ready and willing to answer all of their questions. And I believe that they have played in his face for so many months. Now he's really ready to tell his side of the story. And kicking it with Courtney says, yes, he dang near had a PowerPoint not to leave out details. Okay. Because if it wasn't for that, Courtney, I wouldn't have been able to get my little timeline together. So I really thank Marquez for that because he was very detailed. And Mama Dama said, I call bullshit. Mama Dama, you don't like Marquez. I can already feel it. And Mama Dama said she's a Libra as well. Mama Dama, are you a September Libra or an October Libra? And Toot Latrice agrees with Courtney. And Alf Max said, Mama Dama, Sassamosis. And Toot Latree says, my hubby is an October Libra. Y'all, they really answer questions like that. Yes, and Libras are very indecisive. So maybe they have to kind of really think about what they're going to say before they actually say it because they're very indecisive. And I know that from being a Libra. And Mama B says, I'm an October Libra. We good people. Okay, Mama B's. We got the same sign. No wonder I like you so much. Okay, and Mama Dama said October Libra. Okay.
I know you got strong opinions. I'm ready.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I'm gonna say only on 7 minutes, so it means a lot that you were willing to come on. That just shows a lot of strength right there. But before we get started, tell us who Marquez is. What do you do? Where you from? Who is Marquez?
Okay, so Marquez is a 38-year-old soon to be single man that loves his children, that has a wonderful father who's behind me, who passed away, who's watching over. I'm in my 95-year-old grandmother's house, and she just prayed for me before I came on this interview. Marques is a man of integrity. Marques is a man who is emotional because he knows that that I was given a second chance. So I had spinal meningitis when I was 3 years old. I had to learn all my functions, walk, talk, all over it again. I know that I'm a special person because my parents had raised me in a Christian household, in a loving household.
Now, guys, before he says this about the fact that his parents weren't together, but he never knew that, I want you guys to listen to this and tell me what you think about that and what, how that may have played a part in him in his marriage.
My mom and father were never together, but they never let me know that they were never together. My mama told me the other day, she said, son, you didn't grow up with trauma. She ensured that I grew up, that I would become. She said, "You're gonna make a great husband. You like to rub on feet, and massage, and cook, and do all this." And so that's what I took into who I am and how I am. But right now,
as a young man, I'm not sure who he was rubbing feet and giving massages to at such a young age. And maybe he was doing it to his mom, and she was just complimenting him because she had her son doing the most, like rubbing her feet and massaging her back, like he was the husband.
I'm in Atlanta. I have 15 years of corporate experience working in logistics for Lockheed Martin, a lot of these major companies doing military. I currently I'm in transition. I made a decision to leave my corporate job of 5 years at Bechtel about 3 months ago to pursue entertainment, the consultant. I have
Now, guys, let me ask you this. First, he said he had 10 years of experience, and then he said he left his corporate job of 5 years. And who would leave those good jobs to kind of like be out there pursuing, being an entrepreneur doing music at his age?
connections in the entertainment industry. Hill Harper is one of my close friends. I have a lot of connections in Atlanta. And I want to clarify before we go on, that I moved to Atlanta because Atlanta is a land of opportunity, and it was also close to my.
He's talking really fast. Now, guys, do you think that he's really good friends with Hill Hopper, or do you think he name dropped just because he knows that Melanie's a good friend, to Hill Harper? And what's even strange about that, if you're such a good friend to Hill Harper, like as a millimeter, like we all know that Hill Harper has a crush on Melody. I mean, that's pretty obvious. So, I mean, I don't think if you're a good friend with Hill Harper that you would be trying to bring Melody flowers, and take these pictures with her. I mean, the picture was fine. You know what I'm saying? But maybe he tried to outdo Hill Harper because Hill Harper did, bring some flowers, to Melody at the first Mimosas with Melody. So you think he was trying to outshine Hill Harper? What was that all about? Do you think he was trying to make Martell jealous? Because we all have suspicion that he also knows that there's a good possibility that Trish slept with Martell as well. So was he trying to get a little good get back on the slide? What do you guys think about the fact that he brought Melody flowers to the Mimosas with Melody? Do you think that he was just being nice and doing something that he read in the comments that none of the other cast members ever given her flowers? Carlos never calls her out. What do you guys think the flowers were all about?
Family. So, but Marques is really a good person. I think misunderstood right now because of what's being portrayed. And now that I know that I'm on reality TV, you have to be really specific and careful with the words that you choose.
Absolutely. And I think that's why you're here to clear it up, Marques, to clear it up. Because like I say, you got a bad edit. I'm serious. You just did. Yeah. That's why I want to clear it up.
Now, Dr. Heavenly said he got a bad edit. And later on, when he kind of alludes to the fact that he got a bad edit, Carlos went ham, but we'll get to that in a minute. But before we go on, I do want to catch up on the comments. Alf Mac said, my thing is, I'm not standing aside for no one when it comes to my children. So far, Marques to leave the state and whine about what another man is doing for his children shows me exactly how involved he has been. Okay. Got it. That's a good point, Alpha Mac. And Courtney says, my mom is an October Libra. Oh, okay. Awesome. And Mama Dama says, listen to this crowd. And Mama Dama also said living off of grandma. And I was wondering about that, Mama Dama. Is he just there visiting? Like, um, that's one of the, red flags that made me think he was kind of slow. He just kept mentioning his grandma. And there's nothing wrong with that. He might be a family guy, but it just seemed a little odd to me. And Toot Latree said whatever incident that happened between Ken and Marquez seems like a fairly violent one. He probably left to stay out of jail. That's a good point, Toot Latrice. He said that he moved to Atlanta to pursue opportunities, and there are so many opportunities in Atlanta, but maybe he just couldn't stand the fact of being in Huntsville and watching it's such a small city and watching this man and running into this man, with his wife. And Mama Dama said he had to run from that one horse town. Okay, yep. And Courtney says Ken the dud for real. Marquise may may have his faults still on pause, but Ken is a walking red flag. And I totally agree, Courtney. You know, even though some people feel like he's slow, he's this, he's that, he's not a good dad, this interview really brought a lot of light to the Ken and Trish situation. And I feel like he may have, kind of added in, some untruths, but for the most part, I feel like mostly everything he said is right on point. Because he definitely had to clear his name. So if he had to spruce things up to, make sure that, he kind of clean up his name, then that's what it is. And Mama Dama is still calling BS. No name dropping. Hey, Valerie R says, thank you so much for being here. And sound check, Annette says, Ken is full of red flags. Absolutely. And I think we can all agree on that. And Toot Latree says, he sounds cray cray right then. And I'm not sure if she's talking about the fact that he was talking about his grandma or whatever the case may be, thirsty. And Mama B said, I think he was trying to get in good with Mel. I think so too, because he's smart enough, unlike the other cast members, to know that Mel is the star of the show. And what better way to get in good, is to get in good with the star of the show. He see, that everybody else on the show is having a hard time. He see that everybody is getting dragged, and he sees that Melody has the most support and the biggest fan following. So that's smart. I don't understand why the others weren't that smart, but it is what it is. And Courtney says, I didn't put much thought into it, honestly. Okay. And Mama Dama said, totally inappropriate for someone he doesn't know. Now, my initial thought was that that was really kind of weird. But I also, and when everybody was saying that, he really seemed like he was kind of off at the mimosas with Melody, I thought to myself, maybe he had a couple of drinks. Now, some people can't handle their liquor. And, maybe once he had that drink, it kind of threw him off. And that's when he started looking and acting kind of weird. I'm pretty sure everybody knows somebody that can't handle their liquor. You know what I'm saying? And they start acting weird after they've had a drink. And Toot Latree said Trish and Ken had the opportunity to get their stories out first. And the first story heard leaves a lasting impression, which is why I'm so glad that he's able to tell his story in this interview. And Alfmack said he's nearly 40 years old with two children and a wife, but decided to leave his corporate job to pursue entertainment endeavors. I totally agree, Alpmag. That's what I was just saying. Like, why would you leave these good corporate jobs to go pursue entertainment? Like, I don't understand like why he would do that. I mean, it sounds like he's very childish when he made that statement. Uh-oh. Oh my goodness. These comments moving so fast. And and she also said, yeah, sounds like a real responsible man. Insert my Countess Vaughn face. Okay. And Mama Dama said he practiced this interview. I don't know if he practiced, but he was definitely able to get out every single point he wanted to make. I don't know if he had like notes or whatever the case may be. I think Courtney said a PowerPoint, but he was definitely able to get out a lot of information during this short period of time. And sound check Annette said, Mama Dama, you're not giving him an inch. She is not sound check Annette. And Courtney says people have a midlife crisis all the time. He may have had corp burnout. That is true, Courtney. We've all been there. And Mama Dama says, I don't like an opportunist. So she's saying that's the reason why she doesn't like Marquez. It's because she feels like he's an opportunist. And Valerie R says, I think Marquez is telling some of the truth, in my opinion. And that's what I was saying, Valerie R. I'm not saying that absolutely everything he's saying is the truth, but I believe there's a lot of truth in what Marquez is saying. And Alphamec says, I'll give you that too, Latrice, about Black Johnny Bravo and Big Teeth. But my thoughts of Marquez is going off of how he's moving in this interview. Okay. So that's how she formed her opinion about Marquez or Marquez. And to Latrice says, I was talking about Hill Harper. Okay, got it. And yes, she feels like he's an opportunist. And Courtney says, socially awkward, perhaps. You all meet me in person. I'm a mute and awkward. I'm really shy. That is true. Some people, can come off as being socially awkward. And I think that's probably what people seen at the event, but I feel like he was smart enough to bring those flowers and get a picture with the star of the show. And keep in mind, he didn't post any other pictures of any of the other castmates. So he knew exactly what he was going to do when he got to that event. Oh, and Soundcheck Annette said that he could be shy. He didn't seem very shy in this interview. And Mama Dama says he was lurking around Melody the whole night. Okay. Then now that's kind of weird. And Courtney says, sound check Annette, I promise I really don't talk much in person. It takes a minute for me to warm up. And Mama Doma says, I have no cut card. Okay. And so
What do you think about the public input you've received from the show? What do you think about that? Like the public people, they just don't know you, right?
Yeah, I think Dr. Henry, like Carl's like, nobody knows us like the people that know us, right?
right.
So we're the ones, I listen to you, Carlos, when you talk about we are real superheroes, right? We are the real superheroes because we are putting ourselves in a position, not like an actor, right? We can do things where we can probably, embellish or do whatever, but this is our real life. People really want to go and see what you posted yesterday. Like they really want to know like who you with and all that. So, like for me, I lost track of thought. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Question is, what do
He
you think
lost
about
track of his thought.
influence the show? Yeah.
I really think that it's just misunderstood. I think that the edit portrayed it as if I have been gone for 6 years. I need to clarify, you guys.
And I'm gonna clarify things too. We don't edit badly.
No.
So no. I just want to say that because what we're not going to do is say things like bad edit because that involves like integrity, manipulation, and it's
Okay, so Carlos, if you want to point out, that that you guys don't do bad edits, why didn't you say that same thing to Dr. Heavenly when she told him that he got a bad edit? You didn't straighten her when she said it. So why are you all of a sudden coming for Marquez? Like, come on. Like, I mean, you can just tell by the tone of his voice, he's not feeling Marquez.
Attention. So obviously, I'm going to be very honest and let you finish though. Trisha has been known to give bits and pieces of a story, right?
Right.
We follow bits and pieces.
Right.
So there's not anything production is doing because this isn't artificial intelligence. We don't put words in people's mouths and all those things. So and what I would like for you to talk about more so though is the fact that we invited you here so that you're able to, of course, address things that you've been seeing. Obviously, I said on my own platform that when I cast Trisha, for example, I had no idea that Martell
Right.
is situation. When I cast Trisha, I had no idea that, she was married to a whole nother man. And I'm the creator of the show. And I'm the one who hired her. You see what I'm saying? So
Ooh, Carlos is calling Trisha as I. First he said, that she doesn't like to tell the whole story so that you don't really know what's going on. Then he said he didn't know that she was still married. He didn't know that she had a situation with Martell. And for some reason, I think he's trying to, whether he did know these things or not, Carlos is trying to clear his name because he's obviously in some hot water and he's making sure that he's not the one out here being messy and that he did not know that Trisha and Martell knew each other before she actually came on the show. But yes, he is. It seems like he has something against Marquez already. And so Mama Dama said that he talks a lot, but didn't talk that much with Trish. He been talking to Trish ever since he was 19 years old. He probably tired of talking to Trish. And Courtney says, "Oh, look at my kindred spirits." Ah. And Alphamag said, CK was triggered when Marquez commented about having a bad edit. Y'all do edit the footage. The season was chopped and screwed to that max. Guys, speaking of bad edits and how they chop and screw, now I don't know this to be a fact, but for some reason, when they were on that girls' trip and Melody walked off, I don't believe she walked off because of what Trish was saying. I believe it had something to do with something else, but I don't believe that it had to do with the fact that Trisha was talking about Martell. This girl was at her event. She's been at other places where Melody, was in attendance. I don't believe that Melody has anything against Trish, whether she slept with Martell or not. Melody just doesn't care. And when they show Melody walking off when Trish was talking, I believe they put that there just to make it look like Melody was bothered by what Trish was saying. And I don't believe that's why Melody walked off at all. Some people feel like she did walk off because why would Trish be discussing that? I don't think that's the reason why she was walking off. I think they set that up. That was just how editing wanted it to look. But I feel in my soul that that's not the reason why Melody walked off because she doesn't even care if Martell slept with Trisha. And that's just my opinion. Okay. And let's see. Okay. And Courtney says that CK was ticked off. He was very ticked off. Like you can tell when he mad. He's going to be mad a couple more times during this interview. And Soundcheck Annette said, Carlucifer, all of the editing are back and you have no morals, ethics, or integrity. Okay. He act like we don't know who he is. Like, tell those lies to somebody else. We know you for real, for real. And Valerie R said, Trish lies so much, hard for me to believe everything she says. I actually don't believe anything she says. And Mama Dama says, BS, Carlos knows everything about the cast. Exactly. Like, I don't believe that he didn't know that. But he's trying to clean up his image because he's in hot water right now. And Valerie R also said, so he's saying he hired her because he thought she was your TV? Or good for TV, maybe, is what you're trying to say. He knew what was going on. He a lie, and the truth ain't in him, okay? And Valerie R also said that should have said she's good TV. Yeah, I figured it out, Valerie R. And Mama Dama says, I agree with you. And Alpha Mag says, I didn't like how quickly CK threw tight teeth under the bus. This is the same dude that let Dusty return with no storyline other than Sonny and Moses. Yeah, he did go really hard on Trish. He really did. And I wonder how she's going to feel about that. And Soundcheck Annette says, I think Melody was about to beat Stormy ass. Okay, so you think that's the reason why she walked off? It's because Stormy had really pissed her off. So you think that that's why she got up and walked off, and it had nothing to do with Trisha and what she was saying, kind of like how I feel, Soundcheck Annette. That's what it sounds like to me. And Mama Donna says it just confirms what Mel knew about what Hotel was doing. Yeah, so she already knew all this stuff. She's already had the opportunity to get over it. She don't care anymore. She just ready for this, child court to be over, so that she can move. That's how I feel. She's just ready to go and get this child custody case over so she can move.
There's a lot of things that have been said on the show because it's been said on the show.
Carlos is straight up checking him. Valerie R says, I agree.
No, I can't believe that for my
and Mama Dama agrees as well.
Episodes, it was my choice of words. I know when I said I left my family and I wasn't there for you, those were no one else. They didn't hear anything else. I watched the interview. They didn't hear anything else about how I was here to try to make this, and I understand that. So I never really blamed it on the edits. I know that the edits they make it salacious because they want people to talk. They want people, and so I never took it in a bad way. I just know that moving forward and as I am in this journey is just to be real. Be more detailed and be specific, and don't leave it open to where people can.
Did y'all catch how quiet Dr. Heavenly got? I think that Dr. Heavenly was a little pissed off because she's the one that said that he had a bad edit, and Carlos went off on Marques. So Dr. Heavenly, she got really quiet. She hasn't said anything in quite some time.
Can take it however they want.
Yeah, don't leave it open for interpretation. So again, that's why you're here. So let's talk about the fact that your wife and Ken, okay, they both have said that you aren't in the kids' lives the way you should be. So that's what
Courtney
they
said. She caught that
on this platform of what Hadley and I have, in addition to the show. So again, these are things they said on the show. These are things that they also said on this platform. Ken said last week that there was a trip to Florida, that you went to Florida to see your daughter's game, and you actually missed your daughter's game. So what happened there? As an example of something that was said recently.
Listen up, guys, because I have a theory about that daughter's game.
An example of there's things that have been said on the show in addition to this, and that was just the most recent example. We could go back to where you were then, but I want to start there because that was more recent.
Yeah, well, I would like to say I've never left my children, and it's never been a gap in ever my relationship with my children and our lives. I actually just left from over there, spending time with them up today. My son's about to go see his girlfriend. We have conversations, we talk. There's way deeper issues when it comes to Ken and our relationship. There's things that occurred when I was still married. Well, I'm still married, but there were things before I even decided to leave. Okay, so they've had a relationship and established one years before I even decided to separate myself from the married home. So I think people should be asking, how did they get together? How did Ken and Trish end up in the same household? I think they should talk about.
Okay, now Carlos just told this guy that he wanted to talk about the situation about his kids and about him being a deadbeat dad pretty much. And he totally avoided that question and went to Ken and Trisha, and that we should be asking how did they meet and everything like that. So I kind of understand. I think it was Mama Dama what she was saying, how he's just throwing out all this stuff, you know what I'm saying, and not really answering the questions. That was a very good example of that. And Toot Latrice says Dr. Heavenly believed Marquez and she doesn't think highly of Trish. That is true. And, Dr. Heavenly is always going to pick the side of the man. I have to say that as well. And Alf Mac said, I personally think Melody found out via a PL, private investigator, all who the boy was smashing during the end of their marriage and knows Dusty and Holt hit. Okay. Conspiracy theory, no evidence to prove this line of thinking. I mean, I can believe that. I mean, if my man was leaving in the middle of the night or, going, when we were supposed to be locked down for COVID, I definitely would have hired a private investigator. And Mama Dama says, hellish is male identified. Exactly. And that's why she's going to always take the side of the men. And Valerie R said, his daughter is in dance, so it was a recital, not a game. Absolutely. You're totally correct about that. He called it a game, so I just mirrored his terms. But yeah, she's definitely in dance, and that was a recital. And Toot Latrice says, I feel she knew about Trish as well, and that's why she wasn't surprised to see her at Nell's party. And guys, at the end of the day, this is Melody's show. And I kind of feel like she did not want um coleslaw on there because she was so disrespectful and Carlos didn't like her either. But I think Mel is open to a little messiness. And I think she was okay with anybody outside of coleslaw being on the show because again, she doesn't really, care about Martell at all at this point. So if it makes for good TV, maybe she was okay with it. And that's the thing that I want people to understand. Even when she don't promote the show for her own reasons that we might not know what they are, at the end of the day, this is still her baby. This is her show. So she wants, you know what I'm saying, to have good ratings. She wants the show to go over well, but she still have to make her points, you know like when we weren't supporting, maybe she wanted us to do that just because she wanted Carlos to see this show won't survive without my millimeters. So sometimes you have to read between the lines. And Mama Dama says he's taking Marceau advice, be there for his kids. Absolutely, that is some great advice. And Valerie R says he's going to get there. He talks a lot, I think. He does. And he's gonna eventually get there for sure, because he's gonna spill a lot of tea. And Valerie R says, I think he's anxious. Yes. And he could have, ADD, which is not a bad thing. Sometimes, maybe his attention span could be short or whatever the case may be. And Courtney says CK didn't like how Marquez was going off script. And he's definitely done that a lot. And Mama Dama says Daddy is in his bedroom. Yes. That was a weird statement as well. And Soundcheck Annette says, I really didn't appreciate Carlusa for going radio silent and that evil look on his face when Marquez shouted out Melody. Girl, we ain't got there yet. I can't wait. Oh my God. Yes, we haven't gotten there yet. He hasn't mentioned Melody just yet. Soundcheck Annette. Because CK, when he said that, his eyes got so big and his whole demeanor changed. And Alphamec said, I'm kicking it with Courtney. CK was livid because Marquez pulled the covers from the lens. And maybe he felt like he told too much. Maybe he wanted some of this stuff to play out on the show. Exactly. Not the paramour, but anyone else she was okay with. I mean, because it's done. That's not her man no more. She divorced him. She done moved on. She don't care who he's with. And if it's gonna make for good TV, then I think, Melody's okay with it. And Alpha Max says, I hope y'all still on the Team Blackout, Love and Marriage Huntsville when the new episodes start back coming Saturday. So what a lot of us do, Alpha Mag, is we watch the Silva's Patreon so that he only gets one view. I know I do that. I know Kicking It with Courtney does that. So that's what a lot of us do. We just watch the Patreon so that we don't have to watch the actual show. And Tula Tree says, Alpha Mag, most definitely I see in Patreon. So she's on the Patreon kick as well. And yes, Alpha Mag. Yes, we got it out, Mag. And Mama B says men have a hard time dealing with another man smashing his woman, even if it's his ex. Women get over it easier. Absolutely. And honestly, my mom kind of raised me that, even if you have to be in the same room with your exes and their new wife, whatever the case may be, it's not a big deal. Like, I don't have any problems, you know what I'm saying, with my exes, their currents, or whatever. The only time that there is an issue is when somebody still wants somebody. If somebody still wants to be in a relationship, that's when you have a problem. But as long as everybody has moved on, there's usually not a problem. And Courtney says, Yep, Blackout Patreon. And Alphamax says, Oh, yes, I'm in the bushes on Patreon too. I jumped from Chit Chat to the Silver to Don Don. Okay, yes. I be on both of their pages too. The Silver and Chit Chats as well. And Mama Doma says, I'm going to watch with the Silver. Okay. Now, girl, it's a late night party. I'm trying to tell you, make sure you take a nap in the daytime so you can stay up.
He
Good
did.
at that. Trish said y'all were done. She said
Yeah,
y'all
well,
were done.
yeah, well, that's not true. And one thing about me, I keep receipts, and I'm telling you one thing about me, I'm very detailed. And when I used to tell Trish things, she would always act and deflect as if she didn't know what I was.
Now we getting into the
I
tea.
want people to understand, me and Trish have been together since high school. I'm 38. I'll be 39 years old. We were together from the age of 17 years old to I left at 34 years old. Okay, so
How old were you two when y'all got married?
I was 19. She was 18. My son was born when she was 19. Trish was living with me in high school.
His son was born when she was 19.
And I was living in my own apartment. Trish and I, my father and my family have we literally have my father and my family support has been there just as much as her family when they were there. But then when they passed away, my family really stepped up. So we're all and I'm gonna be honest. I know Trish more than anybody, and I promise you, whether Ken's there or the next guy is there, I'm gonna always be there for her. Like no matter what, despite this TV show.
Now, isn't that ironic, or not ironic? But him and Trish both say the same thing, which is probably why she didn't want to get a divorce. He says that he's always going to be there for Trish, and Trish says that she's always going to be there for Marquez. Now, what do you guys think about that? Why do you think that their bond is so strong that for whatever reason they're always going to be there for each other? Like, you can really love somebody, but when it's done, it's done. Like, it's over. Like, why do they still feel so strongly about being there for each other? That's the part I don't understand about their relationship.
Despite all of this, I think there was always a lack of communication, a lack of respect, a lack of accountability. And I was that. I truly, honestly know in my heart, I was that man that was really trying at a young age that never, ever they told me don't get married, but I knew that was the right thing to do. I knew
she was pregnant. She was pregnant. That's why you got married.
Yeah, and my son was not an accident. We were each other's.
So he pretty much married Trish because she got pregnant. And he was young. They had no idea what they were doing. So they was really just trying to figure it out. Like, he's still young. They're both still very young. So I'm pretty sure a lot of mistakes was made. And Courtney says, pull the receipts. Let me see that ring camera footage. Honey, I hope they play that on the show. You know what I'm saying? Because he claims he got all of these receipts. We need to see those receipts. I'm with you on that one, Courtney. And Courtney also said that they trauma bonded. And Mama B said first love. Yeah, that first love. Ooh, Oh, Mama Bees, you made a good point. That first love. Got it. I can totally agree. And I can relate, guys. Unfortunately, I can relate. Although my first love is no longer here, but yes, I can totally relate. And Mama Dama said the same thing. Interesting first love. Oops. And Alpha Max said commonality, connection. Hey, TNTG mom, thank you so much for being here. And she says, I fell out the bushes when I read Courtney's message. Okay. Okay, about those receipts. Yes, we want to see those receipts. Hey, Indigo girl, thank you so much for being here. And Valerie R says, sorry if I didn't speak to everyone in the gym trying to finish my workout, but hello, everyone. Girl, get that workout in. We ain't mad at you. And Alfmag says, hey, TNG mom. Okay.
When I decided that, I said, okay, I want to have a baby. And I want to have a, and it, mind you, I don't want to tell you, this was pre-social media. This was before Facebook came out. I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. I grew up in the church. You know, we actually met and we talked about the Bible. That's what made me want to be with church because I knew she came from a very difficult background. And I grew up in the church. So I felt like we was reading the Bible together. And I felt like, man, this might be some, but I'm also, my mindset is also 17 years old or 18. I don't know what's to come in the future. I don't know all the challenges. I don't know the fact that the world is about to connect in a way that you could.
Now, guys, this is kind of off topic, but would you let your 18 and 19-year-old child get married, because they got pregnant or she got pregnant? Would you let your child get married because she got pregnant at the age of 18 or 19?
Literally have a relationship with anybody you want in the world and you can pick and choose. And I think that's what's wrong and why marriage is not there because we have too many options.
A baby is one thing, but a bad marriage is something different.
And I stuck with it for years. And I really, really, really was trying, my best. And I think because of the lack of communication, and it was like pulling teeth from her, honestly, Dr. Heavenly, and it was like pulling teeth. And eventually, as a man, it wears on you because I'm a Libra. I'm very much a loving, affectionate, passionate. She's an Aquarius. She comes from a military family. My family gave hugs. My grandma's in there right now. I introduced her. She's 95 years old. She's gonna pray for you right now. I'm not to talk bad on her family, but Trish didn't necessarily come from.
Okay, Valerie.
Like my mama said, you didn't come from trauma, son.
Yeah, I don't think I would do that either, Valerie.
Through in the conversations and the conflict was cool, and I thought maybe like I could be around this because and I also felt sorry for her. And then I also felt like we can work through this and we can grow through this. But then after years and years, and I want to tell you, for 17 years, I never left that house for one day. When I left,
did y'all hear that? He said for 17 years, he never left that house for one day. So this is his way of letting you guys know he's not out here. He's not a 304 like the other men that are on the show.
I never spent any time outside of the house for any time.
How old were you when you decided to leave the house though and move to Atlanta?
Okay. Let's start the timeline because I think the timeline.
Okay, here come the timeline.
So me and Trish, we got married May 19th, 2006. Okay, May 19th, 2006. So we would have been on our I think 18-year anniversary this past May. Married happily, growing up together for then during I would say almost a 10-year stretch. There was, when you're in that puppy love, it's kind of like you still figuring it out, right? Then you kind of like realize who you're dealing with. Then it's kind of like, all right, the trauma. Then you're like, okay, why didn't grow up like this? How, then it's conflict. Then it's like, all right, let's work towards this. Then you suggest counseling. You do all these things. I feel like I know I did things that I was taught to do in order to make sure that the marriage was successful. But I think because there was a lot of unhealed trauma, and I think because she wasn't necessarily,
and because you were just so young,
me to where I started to shut down, to where it was like like when I say pulling teeth and talking to a wall, y'all have to know, like as a man, like
okay. So let me get caught up on the comments. So TNTG mom says Trisha is a grown, immature woman. I feel like they both are TNTG mom. I feel like they're both immature, honestly. I felt like he was immature from very early on. And Alfmax says, have y'all noticed word salad Marquez hasn't said anything about what he did or how he contributed to their marriage dissolving. He has put it all on tight tea. Yes, Alpmac, you did say that he word salad, and I can totally agree with that. Yes, he is putting a lot of this off on Trish, just like how Ken did. And Mama Dama says, no, I believe you wanted to run the streets. Yes, he was very immature and he did want to run the streets and he wanted to hang out with his friends like most guys do when they get married young. They haven't really, sold their wild oats, so they still want to run in the streets, hang out with their friends and things like that. That's why it's not a good idea to get married when you're so young. And Mama B said, Ken said the same thing. Talking to her is very difficult. That is true. But what about this, Mama Bees? What if he listened to that interview and he just kind of mirrored what Ken said to make it sound more believable? There is a good possibility that they had the same experience with Trish, but I feel like he watched that interview and he wanted to kind of mirror Ken so that it would make it more believable when he got up here and said what he said. And Mama Dama calls bullshit again. Oh, Max says I call bull. Okay. Nobody is buying what Marquez has to say. And Indigo Girl says they're both victims of arrested development and need therapy ASAP. Seems as though the adults in their lives didn't make timely intervention. And that could definitely be true, Indigo Girl. These people seem like they are struggling. And Mama Dama agrees with Alf Mac. And TNTG Mom says, man, just answer the damn question. Okay. He goes all around and back again. And oh my goodness. And Courtney says Marquez is responding to Trish and Ken's interview. He definitely has more flaws that he is hiding. And you have said that several times, Courtney, that he was responding to their interview. And I totally agree. And I think he tried to mirror it. And he already knew what he wanted to say because, just like you said, he's responding to their interview. Now, she was giving him grace. Like, she didn't say a lot of stuff about him that I believe she could have said. Like, I believe that there's more to Marquez, and he's just trying to do what Ken did and make himself look good. Soundcheck Annette said Marquez takes no accountability or responsibility for anything in their marriage. And girl, Carlos gonna call him out coming up. He's gonna let him know at the end that he needs to sit back and look at the situation and he needs to be accountable for his own actions. And Indigo Girl says, hey Alpha Man. Okay, she's speaking to the girls. And Mama B said that may be a possibility. Absolutely. That's exactly what I believe he did. And he watched Ken interview. He definitely watched that interview. And he probably was sitting over there punching the wall, mad because Ken made him look like a deadbeat dad. And, he still never really answered that question that Carlos asked him. So I think he's going to re-ask the question. So we'll wait till he does because I have some feedback on that. And to Latrice says, I think he also watched another video because he said something a content creator said almost exactly. Well, one thing that we do know to Latrice is that they all read the comments. And I think that Marquez has been doing his homework. He's been watching everything so that he can be ready to know what to do on this show, for these interviews. Like, I think Marquez is playing catch up because he was in the dark for a couple of months. So I think he's catching up and he's really seeing what people are saying about him out here in these streets. And Alfmac says, I feel everyone is different and everyone's maturity level is set based on how they wish to elevate in their respective lives. Agreed. I married my high school sweetheart at age 20. We've been married for 32 years. Aw, okay. Yes. So you guys, and some people have, older spirits. or whatever. Like, I think Courtney is mature way beyond her years. So some people kind of have like an old soul type of spirit, and they're very, very mature for their age. So that could definitely be true for some people. And Soundcheck Annette said, just like Courtney says, he has a PowerPoint presentation we can't see. That man was talking so fast, there's no way he had a PowerPoint presentation. He was just babbling on. And she agrees that's beautiful, Alpha. She married her first love. Alpha said, kicking it with Courtney, that is why I get irritated with grown folks claiming they had no role models to hoe. Okay. And they're saying congratulations to Alpha. And Alpha also said to show them how to be a man. Got you. You can learn those things. My mama wasn't married, nor was my hubby's. Gotcha. Yeah, you can definitely surround yourself around people, that have the qualities that you aspire to be like as well. And Indigo Girl says, too, my mind, Marquez, is very much aware of all that is going on with Trisha and Ken, as well as the love and marriage Huntsville happenings. He is trying to land a spot on the show. He's baiting CK by saying he has receipts. That's a good point, Indigo. Absolutely. And going back to my point in the title of my video that a throuple was revealed, Marquez revealed that him, Trisha, and Ken was all messing around at the same time because he said that Ken had been trying to get with Trish since 2018, 2019. And he also stated that he didn't move out until 2021. That's when he moved out and moved into the apartment. And he even made a statement and said that they had sex, it just wasn't there anymore. And I believe the reason why it wasn't there anymore is because he knew in his heart that Trish was also sleeping with Ken at the same time. So that's where my title comes from, guys. I believe that Trish, Marquez, and Ken had a throuple. And I believe that they all three knew all about it. And Courtney says, absolutely, Alpha Mag, that he's baiting CK for those with those receipts. And Valerie said they were both too young. They shouldn't have gotten married. Immaturity, childish, and a baby, not a good mix. If Trish had have been my child, I would have said, baby, I know you pregnant and I know you're gonna keep your baby, but I don't want you to marry this man. You're just too young. Just because you made a mistake and you got pregnant at a young age does not mean that you have to marry this man and be stuck with him for the rest of your life. Just because you made a bad decision. And I would have allowed my child to have that baby, but she would not have married that man. And Alphamec says, thank you all. He works my damn nerves, but he's cool. Awesome. And Courtney says, oh, wow. Thank you. And Indigo Girl says, let's see. To Latrice says, at Valerie R. And Trish, trauma growing up in an obvious military orientated household, the constant fighting. Yes, that's a good point. And Valerie R says, I agree, Alphamate. My mom was in the house but didn't teach me how to be a woman. Doing laundry, cooking, and cleaning isn't all a girl needs to be taught. Absolutely. And Indigo Girl says, everyone is not the same. Some people need guidance. Valerie R had to learn on her own. And Valerie R also says, I feel you, F Mac. I've been married 22 years in October and he works my nerves, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So glad that
When
you
me and
ladies are happily
when me
married.
and God get into it, and he not listening, listen, what's fine, we gonna fight, right? But when you're dealing with a woman and you know that she has issues, and you're also aware that she has issues, and you're trying to be, but how how much time is a man supposed to give a woman who is broken?
Before discovering Walton University, I never knew how much I could truly achieve.
There's always two sides to a story. And I think after this, they're going to go even harder on Marques.
Learn who I am. And then I'm also being projected to be a certain man, which is her father. My father, rest in peace, who's behind me, you know, I come from a long lineage of music industry. My father was a pioneer in the music industry. Her father was a hardworking, strong man that was in the military who loved to cut grass and change tires and brakes and stuff. You know, I decided, hey, why can't pay my boy to cut our grass? She would look at me as if that's not being a man. I was being dictated as who a man was supposed to be from that age of 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. We can go on and on.
Did y'all hear that? He said Trisha's father was dictating like how he should be a man. Like he thought that he should cut his own grass. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to do that. Like sometimes you can delegate people to do the things that you don't want to do and pay for it and focus on more important things that you might need to get done. So that probably was very uncomfortable for him. And Mama Dama says, I don't think Ken and Trish were having sex in the beginning. Ken was doing what he had to do to get in her good graces. They moved in together so he could pay those bills. Okay.
Until it gets to a point where you break, right? And they want to say, you know, I've seen where she said I wasn't there for her. The way, and that's why my words, you have to be careful with your words. I was trying to take accountability, saying I wasn't there for her how I should have been. But there was also underlying issues that we never addressed, that could never be resolved, which in turn did not allow me to even want to come home. So if I was out the house, I was at my friend's house complaining about how much I hate my life, and I'm in my 20s. So like, what is a man supposed to do? And I want people to take.
Did y'all hear that? And that's, you know, the downfall of getting married at a young age. He says in his 20s, he was at his friend's house complaining about how much he hated being married. Very, very immature. And Mama Dama says Trish doesn't seem to be an aggressive woman. Marques was hitting them streets to get what he needed. Okay. He said several times that they just weren't compatible. And I can really see that. And Indigo Girl says her father was seeing him as a boy and thought he could tell him what to do. That must have been uncomfortable for him. Exactly. I heard that. And Valerie said Trish was cheating with Ken and Martell, and she was still smashing her husband too. That part, Valerie, I believe that. I believe she was sleeping with her husband, Ken, Martell, and who am I leaving out? Yes, Ken, Martell, and her husband all at the same time.
This story, and I want to bring the conversation back to your question earlier, Dr. Heavenly. What is the perception? How do I feel? I think most of the comments have been women led, and I think a lot of these women have been hurt and see me, and they see that 7-minute clip as someone who is their baby father or their ex-husband, when that is not the case. I am the exact opposite, and I do feel strongly about that.
I agree with you 100%. I apologize, Carlos. I didn't mean bad edit, but what I was trying to say.
Did y'all hear that? Dr. Heavenly, she waited all that time. I knew she was pissed. And she's just confronting Carlos about that bad edit statement. Here she goes.
Never really got to tell your story. Your story was so short and so cut up. I mean, you didn't get to say the whole thing. Because in my mind, and I watched it, it looked like the trauma that Trish went through was you. I never heard it was her family, or am I missing something, Carlos? Because when I watch it,
no, it was always
that the world believes.
Yeah. No, the thing is
she is calling Carlos out.
Trisha told her sister and the other ladies that the trauma had to do with, and Marques knows this, was the passing of her parents and her feeling like he wasn't there.
Well, let's be clear. Trisha had trauma way before I met her. Okay, and I'm not going to go into detail about people's lives, because if I were to sit here and really break it down, then I think people would clearly understand. But that's not what we're here for. And I think ultimately my goal and my purpose of coming on the show was to establish the relationship that I already had, but build it stronger because there were things that negatively impacted me that made me to where I wasn't able to remove those emotions and the traumas from Ken, her, and all this to necessarily like be there every single day, right? Because I had to figure.
Okay, so that goes back to what Alchemax said. Alchemax says, "Nah, Mama Dumma, I think tight teeth is a freak in the sheets. Nothing wrong with that at all. But word salad was in the streets and didn't appreciate what she had." Yes. And that's really pretty much Trisha's side of the story is that, he was in the streets, hanging out. And when she was going through what she was going through, he wanted to go out and hang out with his friends and get drunk. That's pretty much what Trish said. And Toot Latrice, Valerie R says, yes, they did, Toot Latrice. Oops. And Toot Latrice says, the killing part is that the whole season thus far is cut up and you can't follow. CK really need to show back footage. Yes, the way he cut the scenes, it has you just so confused. And Valerie says he was trying to get into Trish good graces. All right. And Indigo Girl says, after a while, they both didn't want to be married, but didn't know how to move on from each other. That's a good point. So they were almost living together like they were friends. And guys, honestly, a lot of married couples do that. Their relationship is done. They know they don't want to be there anymore, but nobody wants to move on. And, they own the house together. Nobody wants to be the one to leave. So they'll just stay there and deal with each other until somebody finally gets tired. It happens every day, all the time.
Bro, how am I going to get this income to do the things that I can do for them? But I never once have left my children. And I can tell you, we can go through text. I don't even have to do all that. But we can go through the messages and we can call my kids right now and they'll let you know that your dad is, and that's what I said. My son felt as if the questions that were being asked were not fair. And he didn't feel like, he said that I talk to you all the time. My son, and let's talk about this. The reason why I speak about my daughter so much and not as much as my son, because my son has never wavered. My son was 14. He decided, he said that I'm always be for you, here for you.
For a second, I want to be able to make sure you say succinctly the timeline of you leaving, and because you're saying leaving, but I want edited this for you to say it. So I want to make sure you clear the air. Okay. So you told us you got married May 19th, 2006. That you was in a marriage with Trisha, where it's like pulling teeth from her. Where how much can a man take? Right. There's only so much a man can take. Right. If he's trying to get information of his wife and he's not getting it. So,
Alphamac, I see why you call him word salad.
The house to move to another state.
All right. Well, I gotta go back. I know what you're saying now. You want me to give the time?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I made the decision to leave the marital situation, it was October 2020. Okay, so October 2020. This is during COVID. Her sister died in July. Our anniversary was in May. Her sister died in July. I decided to leave October 2020. When I say leave, I decided to move upstairs.
So that's when he moved upstairs, October of 2020.
So in, I think it was like June or July of 2021, or June, July 2021, I got an apartment 5 minutes away. So I could make sure I could come to the house,
move down the street.
I felt like I had to remove myself from the house because it was weird. My kids was like, Dad's upstairs and all that. But I always stayed there every night. I didn't stay away. Then there was altercation that occurred once I found out that she was dealing with Ken, and I was never notified that they were around my kids. There was an altercation that I don't want to talk about. I've discussed it on the show. Apparently it is what it is. This is our first interaction, but I want y'all to know that 5 years prior, we had words on the phone where, and he also was doing the chocolate emojis and he was in the DMs.
I'll believe that this man says that Trish and Ken has been having correspondence ever since 2018 and 2019, and we're in 2014. I'm sorry, 2024. That's a long time that this man has been dealing with Ken.
And this is before I decided to leave. So me and him actually had a phone conversation while I was married and not even thinking about leaving, where he told me to check my woman. Because first he tried to deny. He was like, oh yeah, I see her in the gym. Trish started working out in 2017 and got to the gym 2017, 18, 19. But I decided to move to Atlanta.
Trish has been in the gym since
October
2017.
2021. 2021, 22, October 2022, 23. No, October 2022. So I stayed in that house for almost a year, for like a year at the house around the corner in Madison. And then I decided to move to Atlanta because of the fact that it was close. Honestly, I moved to Atlanta because it was close to my family. Y'all have to know that my grandma's here, my dad's here.
Okay. Totally see that happen. Okay, guys, let me catch up on the comments. Give me one moment. Okay, and Alpha says, to Latrice, I agree this season of HAM with all the horrible editing. Yes, editing has really been bad. And Valerie said, Carlos probably texted Heavenly about the bed edit comment. Think he texted her. She got quiet. She was pissed. And Mama Doma says, boy, face it, you left your family. Oh, she ain't giving that man a break. And Alpha says, thank you, Mama Dama. Dude will not admit he left his family. Okay, guys, I don't know if this guy is ever going to get to this comment, so we're just going to talk about it after I get caught up on these comments. Valerie said Marquez pissed off Carlos, so I ain't mad at him. Okay, that's right. I know that's right. Anybody going against Carlos is all right with us. And Mama Dama says now he's talking a little slower. Yes, and he's breaking down that timeline for us, Mama Dama. And Alf Mac says, I'm sorry, I always say Alf Mac, and I clearly know it's Alf MC, but I always say Alf Mac. Sorry about that, Alf MC. Yes, he wants to give all the facts from his point of view, but it comes off as word salad because he's long-winded. Okay. And Courtney says, Valerie CK was highly irritated this entire interview. And that's what I seen, Courtney. I seen the same thing. He was very irritated with this guy. And I think it's because Marquez just doesn't do it for him. He's more entertained when it's somebody that he's, physically attracted to, like Ken. And Mama Dama says he is hungry for that check. BS. And Mama Dama says, you said to her that Ken said, check your bitch. Yep. That's what Ken said to him about his wife. And Indigo Girl says, at Kicking It with Courtney, so true. He was saying to himself, this man is spilling too much tea, which exposed the fake storyline between Hotel Ken and Trisha. Yeah, something about what he was saying, Carlos was not feeling it at all. And Courtney agrees with you, Indigo Girl. And Alf Mac said it's actually Alf Mac. Oh, really? But Alf MC works too. So now I don't have to try to change it up. Okay. And Valerie R. Ken admitted to that conversation at Mama Dama. Yes, he did. Valerie, he did say that he did tell him that he needs to check his BITCH, his BIH. And Valerie says, exactly, Indigo Girl. And Latrice says, I think his threat of going to an attorney made CK give him a spot in this interview. Really? That man was not going to no attorney. That man ain't even got no money. He looked broke. And Courtney says he left Marquez. He let Marquez know he is not a cast member. Really? I missed that part. Okay, so let's talk about when Marquez was supposed to go to his daughter's recital or, whatever it was in Florida. And Ken said that he was 7 minutes down the street and he missed it. This is what I think happened. Marquez did say that him and Trish were supposed to go half on a big house. So after talking to Ken, she decided that what she probably did was tell Ken, I'm letting him come because he's going to pay half on the house, because she knew that that would make Ken pay half on the house so that Marquez didn't even have to come. So then she went back and told Marquez, well, that's okay. Ken is going to be there, so you don't have to pay half on the house. So this man was thinking that, him and Trish was going to go half on this house. He was going to be there with his family in place. So all that changed. So then he had to get his own accommodations. And what I think happened is he flew to Florida for this recital. I think he didn't rent a car. He probably called an Uber or whatever the case may be, and he was just probably running late because the Uber or his driver was running late. And that's why I felt like he missed that recital. There is no way that this man gonna come all the way to Florida for his daughter's recital and miss it being 7 minutes down the street. Something happened that was out of his control. So the way Ken tried to put it out there like he was a deadbeat dad and he was 7 minutes down the road, that man probably had to catch a flight or whatever he needed to do to be there for his daughter, and something happened that was out of his control, but Ken conveniently used that to make him look bad. And that's how I feel about it. And Mama Dama says Marquez told Trish that Ken said, check your biatch. Ken did not use those words. Okay. Swore that Ken did confirm that he did say that to Marquez, but I could be wrong. And Valerie said, we don't know that Ken didn't use those words. The truth lies in the middle of Trish, Ken, and Marquez. Yes, that is true. But I could have swore that Ken confirmed that. I thought Ken should have minded his business. Absolutely. Like, he shouldn't say anything bad about those kids' father, because at the end of the day, that's their father. They have a special bond, and he's just trying to, turn the kids against their own father. Like, who does that? No matter what type of man he is, whether he's a deadbeat dad or whatever the case may be, that's still their father. And Ken needs to respect that. And Valerie says, I agree. Why come all the way to Florida and then not come to the recital? And that's why I truly believe, Valerie, that it was something out of his control. There's no way that man is going to do all of that. And even if you go back to their social media, he's on several pictures with Ken. You know what I'm saying? And he could have been an asshole and just been like, I don't want to take no pictures with, this new guy and this is still my wife. That's the fact that he took pictures with Ken shows that he's a dedicated father. And you can be here all you want, but I'm still going to be here for my kids. And that says a lot, in my opinion. And Courtney says Ken and Trish had a storyline plan. I think LAMH threw a wrench in their plans when they invited Marquez on. To be honest, I don't even think it was Marquez. Honestly, I think that Martell threw a wrench when he said that he didn't know Trish. Honestly, and I don't know if he did that as some type of get back at Trish because he was mad, that maybe she kicked him to the curb for Ken. I'm not sure, but it seems like he was being a little bit vindictive when he said what he said, and I hope it comes out one day. Toot Latrice says Ken did say he said it, and that's what I thought. Toot Latrice, that Ken said he said it. Remember, he had just been blowing up on the phone the whole time. Trish was gone. Ken had an attitude when he heard Marquez answer the phone. Oh, okay. So, because he probably thought that, they weren't still like, in an active marriage. And when he answered her phone, he probably did blow up and say that. And Valerie said, Ken is talking bad about him in front of his daughter. Absolutely. And Valerie says, yes, I do remember that too, Latrice. So she remembers as well that Ken did confirm that he told him, that he needs to check his biatch. And Mama V says, I don't care. You should not badmouth your ex to your kids. Badmouth your ex to your kids. Absolutely. Not at all. And I don't know if Trish is doing that. But we definitely know that Ken is bad mouthing, Trish's husband in front of his kids. And Indigo Girl says Ken needs to stick to driving his truck and leave us alone. He's trying too hard to make Marquez look bad. The son even shared with his father that the producers want him to admit he's a deadbeat dad. And that's another reason why I think that Marquez is not a deadbeat dad. This is just what Ken wants to portray him as. And they're kind of like in competition, fighting for, the kids' affection, and to be loved by the kids. And Ken clearly love bombed her kids. And Alf Mac said, kicking in with Courtney, that's exactly what I was thinking too. I think once the producers found out about word salad, they wanted to add him to spice up the drama. Yeah, Alf Mac, that could be the case because, I still feel like that Martell kind of threw a wrench in everything, but they're always looking for these people. I guarantee you right now they're looking for Ken's ex. And if they're not looking for him, I bet there's a lot of YouTubers that is looking for Ken's ex because that's one person I would like to have a conversation with or just see her come on the show or at least do an interview with somebody. Ken's ex. Ken called Trish a bitch. I need to rewatch. And Courtney says, exactly, Alpmac. That's what I'm thinking because CK said he didn't know Trish was married at first. Okay, so he didn't know Trish was married at first. So you're thinking because he didn't know, once he found out, he went looking for the husband. Is that what you're saying, Courtney? Tight teeth and word salad is sending me. Okay. I really like that word salad. And that describes him to a T.
He's here. My nephews are here. My kids are here. So the idea of moving to Atlanta was actually a perfect opportunity to stay 45-minute flight away, to stay a 3 hour drive away, because if anything happens, I can get there in a heartbeat. I've had opportunities to live in Dallas. I had opportunities to live in DC, California, but I know that Atlanta, for one, was close, but it was also a land opportunity for the things that I've always wanted to do, which is following my father's footsteps and his legacy in this entertainment industry. So 2022, I was in Atlanta. I've been there, but I've also made plenty of flights.
Guys, I don't know, but when he says that he moved to Atlanta because he knew it would be close to his kids, just a 3 hour drive, and if anything happens, like he could be there in no time. He said he had opportunities to go to other places like Dallas, but he wanted to stay closer to his kids. And I kind of believe him when he says that.
I've also drove plenty of times to come back and see my kids, and it's never really changed. I think because of the trauma and pulling up to certain events and knowing that he's going to be there, or pulling up to the house and knowing that car is going to be there, and knowing that what happened is still a trigger for me, it eventually led me to lessen and lessen myself from coming over there. And then it would be times where I would want to come get him, and she would make.
Okay, guys, what do you think about that? He said, dealing with the trauma, and let's just keep it real. He's still married to Trish, and he knew that Ken and Trish were messing around while they were still in a committed marriage. So, do you think he's wrong for not wanting to put himself in a situation that could ultimately, land him in jail? How do you guys feel about that? And Indigo Girl says Ken has an agenda. Trisha needs to wake up and stop allowing Ken to mess with her children's mind. He's confusing them and they will hate him eventually. They love their dad. Absolutely agree with that, Indigo Girl. And his son, he said that his son was 14 when he left. So his son could be potentially 17 or 18 at this point. And Toot Latrice says this is looking more and more like Thunderstorm threw a tantrum in the VI and it backfired horribly. Okay, Storm threw a tantrum. And Mama Dama says, I don't believe that. Okay. She doesn't believe that that's the reason why he moved to Atlanta is because he felt like it was close to his kids, guys.
Excuseless. Oh, she got dance or Xavier or this or this. So eventually I'm in town specifically here to see them, and she makes it to where it's not easy for me to see them. But the excuse is always dance. It's never, hey, you going with your dad. It's like, hey, she got other stuff to do. So like
Let me be very clear here so we don't get confused, right? What year did Ken start seeing Trish, and what year y'all were still together? Y'all were in y'all were in separate rooms at that point? Because she's making it seem like y'all were over, and it took 5 years for the divorce.
She lying.
I've only been talking for 2.
No, that's not true. I can't tell you when they physically met each other, but I can video verify when I first physically saw that they met each other. That was like early October 20. I have a video. It doesn't matter. It was in 2022. I would say their first interaction was around 2018, 2019 with the chocolate emojis and the gym and the conversation, right? And the text message on the phone where he said he.
Now, guys, he said that a couple of times, and he's right on the money when it comes to the date of when they had their first interaction between 2018 and 2019. And he said they were officially dating in 2022. And he said that they have only been separated for 4 years. He married Trish. I'm sorry. He left Trish when he was 34, and I think he says that he's 39 now. Something like that.
Well, at the form oral sex on her. And I'm married, and we weren't like having no issues.
That was 2018.
That was probably like 2018, 2019, because there's a new gym that opened up. Because when I left Baltimore to go take a high paying job, Trish got into the gym. Her family member died. She said, alive at 55, I want to be in the gym. She fell in love with the gym so much that she probably fell out of love with me. Trish used to tell me, don't work out. Because when she started working out, I used to let's work out together. I play sports football. Let me be your trainer. Let me be your inspiration. She no, I love the way you look. And I got the dad bod, right? And eventually I found out that, she already had her eyes on Ken. She's.
So he said that Trish fell in love with training and fell out of love with him. And he said that when he wanted to go work out with her, Trish was not having it. Trish did not want this man to go to the gym with her because that was her pickup spot. That's where Trish was meeting all of these men. That is so funny. Like, Trish really played this man. And probably because he was so immature, he didn't know any better, but she played this man. She was just like, that's just like, I'm not taking you to my hookup spot. Okay, let me get caught up. Okay, so Toot Latrice said, Mama Dumb, I really think Kez might have gotten his ass beat by Ken or humiliated terribly because he says he has trauma from the incident. You know what, Toot Latrice, you might be right. And he is adamant about not wanting to talk about that situation. So yeah, Ken might have did some bodily harm to him. And Courtney said, okay, come on now. Mama Dama is not fooling with Marquez. You hear me? She is not, Courtney. She ain't giving him no breaks. And Alf Mac says, exactly, Indigo Girl. Black Johnny Bravo is love bombing those children to go against their dad. Absolutely. Word salad is still full of shit, but I feel like Johnny has an agenda. Okay. If y'all had to choose between we know that they're all telling lies. We all know that. But if you had to choose between who you think is telling the most lies, who would it be? Ken or Word Salad, aka Marquez? And Courtney says, to Latrice, they jumped him, laugh out loud, allegedly, in my opinion. Oh, so Courtney, you think they both jumped him, Trish and Ken? And Toot says, at the network specialist, I think Stormy because Trish is looking more like a red herring, but Mel's response was not what she was hoping for. Okay, so let's go back to your statement. You says this is looking more and more like Stormy threw a tantrum in the VI. What do you mean by VI? And it backfired horribly. That's the part I don't understand too, is the VI part. And Indigo Girl says Ken is Trisha's puppeteer. He is dictating her life. He is taking advantage of her vulnerability and is controlling her every move. He said that he is her security blanket. That's a red flag for me. Yes. I just don't like nothing about Ken. Absolutely nothing. And Toot says, that makes sense for real. I wonder if he was winning against Ken. So you think he was winning and Trish jumped in to help? Oh my God. And she also thinks that Trish is, oh, okay, so you think differently than Indigo Girl. You think that Trish is the puppeteer. I think that Trish is the puppeteer because even Marquez said that Ken worships the ground that Trish walks on. So I can believe that too. Courtney says that to Latrice, I think he cried and ran back down the street and eventually moved to ATL after he got jumped. Yeah, that could have been the reason why he moved to ATL by Ken. And Mama Donna says you don't need to ask me. And Toot says he ran back down the street. Indigo Girl says Ken even said that they are always together and they do everything together. That's unhealthy. When will Trisha heal? Guys, what's really weird to me is that Ken never really talks about driving trucks. He never tells any details about his truck driving company. And that's a red flag for me, really. Like, we don't know the name of his company. Like, we don't know if he drives local, long distance. Like, we know nothing about his company. And Toot says the population, um, think about it, the population of Huntsville is Toot's name for Huntsville, was only about 215K. It's a small town. Word salad Marquez. And Toot also says Ken is lying. He got to be out there on the road to make that money. Exactly. When does he have all of this time to be up under Trish? Like, I don't believe that. Ken could have a whole nother family in a whole nother state, which is could be where he went when he left for those 3 days. I don't trust Ken at all.
To tell me different signals on how she liked chocolate men and how she loved muscles. And then when I went through her phone towards the end of our marriage, she actually told him that you have the husband body goals of my dreams. So like these are the things that
Ken has the husband body goals of Trisha's dreams.
Talk to each other. Who knows? I don't know. But I'm gonna tell you what, I know when I first saw that they were who she was dealing with, and let's be clear, I always was okay with her moving on. I want her to move on. Who doesn't want your
that Marquez, when you saw those text messages and the chocolate emojis and all that, were you and Trisha?
Mama Dama says she believes that.
Absolutely. We were married. We're married.
I know you were married, but you talked about
it wasn't the separation. So the separation part, right? I think this is what people need to understand. When I separated myself, right, that allowed her to have the situations with the Martells and these other guys that I don't know about. Because you gotta understand, Trish.
He specifically said the Martells.
We're gonna take it to the grave. Y'all don't understand. Like women, and it's not like I said. I don't want to get into all of that, but I'm telling you, when you come from a family where talking is too much, you're not gonna say nothing. So who knows when they actually met? But I know when I physically saw them, and I know when she decided to tell me that they were together, and then I know how he ended up moving in the house with my children. Y'all should be asking them that. What you should be asking him.
Because my whole thing is they telling
Kim was in a whole other relationship.
kind of way, but you need to speak. Yeah.
Kim was in a relationship. All right, let's be clear. I never knew this, right? Okay, all right. Hey, all right, Dr. Kevin, we're gonna spill the tea today.
Okay, so listen up, guys, because we need to figure out about this $5,000.
And I want to say this, guys, and I want to be clear, right? And when we're done, I want y'all to know that it comes back to I want the relationship with my children to be as solid as it's always been, like as it was, but I want it to be even stronger. And I do want to see Trish be happy and whoever she's with, whether it's Ken or somebody else. I want y'all to be clear. But the first time, outside of those first few years where I realized who he was, I never met him, never seen him before. When I saw the text messages, I called him. We had those exchange of words. I'm telling her, she's like, oh, well, it's just my friend. That's my homeboy. But I'm telling her, I'm like, you can't have any homeboys. We've been together. Like, if he's your homeboy, he's my homeboy. So, but this secrecy of, hey, he's just my friend. He's just somebody who I look up to in the gym. He's just somebody I talk to. That developed. Now, when I separated myself from the situation, I felt like he knew, like, boom. Ken is infatuated with Trish. Trish told me that, why I like him or I love him because he worships the ground I walk on. And it's showing on TV. And he does. But I don't, but the
wow.
thing is, because think about it.
So do you guys believe that Ken worships the ground that Trisha walks on? Do you guys agree with Marques when he says that? And Indigo Girl says something in the milk is not clean. My concern is that the mental health of their children. What are they really learning? Oh, to be honest, Indigo Girl, I think that kids have kind of adjusted because there's so many what do you call it, blended families in this day and time, till kids are able to easily, or not, I'm going to say easily, but they're able to adjust to those type of situations. Now, the fact that Ken is trying to turn them against their dad, now that's when you start having problems. And that's where the problem lies, is that Ken is trying to turn them against his dad. Now, if their mom would have just moved on and decided to date another man, I don't think the kids would have a problem with it. But like I said, the problem comes in when you're trying to, create a wedge between the kids and their father. And Mama Dama says he on Get Back. Okay, so you think Marquez is on Get Back? And Mama B said CK's head probably exploding when he said the Martells. Exactly, Mama B's. And Mama B said no, Ken worships himself. Okay. I think Ken found his twin. So I think he worships himself as well as Trisha. And Courtney says, yes, he has an unhealthy attachment to Trisha, like she is a possession. That's a good point, Courtney. It's more like a possession, like he owns her. And Mama Dama agrees with Mama Bees. Okay.
He's living with a married man trying to take care of other people's children who has an active.
He's living with a married woman, not man. You got man on the brain.
I think he likes to use the word provider. I think they like to use money. I think that, but that's one thing is if Ken stepped away today or never stepped in the picture, my kid's lifestyle would not change. The lifestyle has not changed. I'm not against.
You were contributing to the household the whole time. Even when you were upstairs, you were contributing.
Man, I was paying half the rent for a house that wasn't in. My friends were like, why are you paying half the rent on a house you're not even in for over a year? Why are you doing this? If Trish put me on child support, she would get less money than what I was giving her. I never wanted to go through the course because we have a bond. We have a relationship. I didn't look at her as an enemy. I'm not, even though we didn't necessarily work out, I'm not looking at it like, damn, I want her to go through some shit. Like, I feel for her right now.
Guys, I'm sorry, but I believe him when he says that.
She said even when you...
And honestly, the reason why I believe him is because I feel the same way. Like, if it doesn't work out, if a relationship doesn't work out, like, why do we have to be enemies? Like, we're just not compatible. Why can't people just move on and still have a cordial friendship or whatever the case may be and co-parent together. So I believe him when he says that. And Alfmag says, if you've seen the recent video of them stepping out to attend the Mimosas event, Johnny Bravo has this look of adornment towards tight teeth. Alfmag, I did see that video when they stepped outside, and I seen when he slapped her leg, and he always makes some type of sexual gesture every time they do these videos together. He either smacks her leg, he smacks her butt, just like Courtney said, like she's property, and I don't like that. I would never let a man do that to me on videos to be on social media. Mama Dama says, calm down. And she says, see, I don't get that. All this for Ken to hear. Yes, he is letting Ken know how he feels about all of these situations. Horrible attire. Oh my God. Now, Ken done been drugged so bad out here in these social media streets about his attire for the mimosas with Melody. Till I don't even got no more for him. Everybody has already said it all. He looked a hot mess. Ken cannot dress. I hate I hate that he wears these tight clothes, these tight jeans. It's just so unattractive. And it really shows that he doesn't have a print, which is why this woman needs two men, because I think she's dealing with two men that ain't got nothing going on down below.
She was paying your bills because she said she didn't want to. She want to hold up money from. Can you look like a deadbeat dude? I'm just speaking on.
I mean, you got to think. You got to think. They're in a position where they're taking risks, and they're in a position where Ken is in a position now that he almost can't fail. He's going to look like a simp, or he's going to look like whatever. We talk about this alpha male and all this, but you're speaking on another man's kid on a podcast. And then you also are with a married woman, and you're okay with not trying to figure out why she's not trying to divorce you.
Hello.
Why do you think it took so long for you guys?
Yep, that's what Ken need to be trying to figure out. Why this woman don't want to divorce this man? That's what Ken needs to focus on. And Indigo Girl said, Ken's always smacking her inappropriately. It's as though he has no respect for her. That's how I take it. That's why I would never let my man do that. And Trisha should put a stop to it. She should, but for whatever reason, she thinks it's cute, or she thinks that, they're marketing their, new gym or whatever the case may be. Trish don't seem to have a problem with it. And then, they do the little 3-kiss thing, the 3 smacks that is supposed to mean, I guess, I love you or whatever the case may be. They is really putting on the show. And Toot says, I think Trish set him up. Oh, okay. Elaborate a little bit on that for me, Toot. Mama Dama says steroids. Yeah, I believe them steroids doing a number on him. The muscles might be, expanding, but I think them body parts are shrinking. And Mama Dama says Trish doesn't want either one. No. I'm like, y'all, I think Trish wants Martell. And, you know, I mean, I can't stand Martell, but honestly, if I had to choose between these two, it would pick Martell at this point.
Do you think Trish is still alive?
I talked about this with her. You gotta understand, Trish's mindset.
Both of these men driving them crazy.
Think she's living in an adulterous situation, and she's with a man. It don't look good for her to be filing divorce on me. She didn't want, and I also know that we never got a chance to talk about it.
Marques speaking some facts now.
To just leave and be like,
Marques said, if she's the one living in an adulterous situation, why would she file for divorce on me? He made a good point.
I'm done. I know that we have been together since we were 17 years old, and I can count on my hands how many times we were away from each other, and it wasn't because of an argument. I can count. I promise you, it wasn't because of argument. And eventually, it's like, you gotta choose yourself, and you gotta sacrifice in order for the greater good. And I think that right now it was a very tough decision, but it has been the best decision for us all involved. And I want to see it progress that way. but we have a lot of obstacles and hurdles right now that we're still currently dealing with.
Do you think
Mama Dama, honestly, think he's really talking that bad about Trish. You know, if anything, he's talking more bad about Ken, but he's not really saying a lot of bad stuff that everybody don't already know about Trisha, honestly. He's not telling us anything about Trish that we don't already know. It seems like most of his anger is directed towards Ken. And Mama Dama says he's trying to say all the right things. Absolutely. And Ken did the same thing. So I mean,
I want to get this point out to be crystal clear. The reason that you all broke up was because Ken was calling your girl. Ken was texting your girl. Ken was saying oral sex with your girl, the hot chocolate emoji.
No.
Was that the reason that
No.
you all fell apart?
No, not at all. No. The issues was, and that's what I'm saying. I'm having a hard time.
And guys, that's one reason why I kind of believe Marquez is because he said that Trish and Ken messing around is not the reason that they broke up. He was unhappy with Trish long before that. So that's one of the reasons why, I tend to believe what he's saying is because, he could have lied and just said, yeah, Ken came in and, he came in between, my marriage with Trish. But he didn't say that.
Between the Ken situation, because he's currently living there, and what has created that rift between my children. Not about the relationship, because it's never like we dealt with a bunch of infidelity and all that. There was just years and years of not being able to communicate effectively, to where I felt unheard and I felt like a ghost in my own house. I felt almost dead inside. I used to sit and watch the ceiling fan turn and cry, and I'm in my 30s, in my mid 20s, like wondering, like, is this how my life's supposed to end? And I felt like I was living to die.
He said he felt like he was living to die being with Trish.
I really did, and it's not knock on Trish. Let's be clear. Trish is I ain't never met nobody like her. She's very much, she's very strong, very independent.
Trish is a workhorse. That's what I believe. That's why these men like her.
In my 38-year-old mindset, and having opportunities to meet other women in my life, and knowing the things that I offer bring to the table, that we just weren't compatible. And right now, I really just want to be her friend and help her heal, so that way we can continue to.
So this guy says he still wants to be Trisha's friend and he wants to help her heal. He has no animosity towards Trish, and he said it over and over again. I think that all of his animosity is towards Ken, because Ken is trying to come between him and his kids. And Mama Dama said he himself is using his kids to defend his actions. Okay, that could be true.
Raise our daughter for these last, 7
Marques is going to call him out about his accountability coming up.
Trish? I have so much love for her, but not in love in a way where it's physical or attractive. Not even. The day that I left, I always wondered when the last time we would have sex. And the last time we had sex, it wasn't what it was. And so I knew that was it. And from that day forward, me and Trish have not had any sexual intercourse. I haven't even.
You left with 2020.
When I say, let's be clear, because the word left, I don't know.
Oh God, this guy and his word salad.
Clearly that word.
When did y'all pull the part?
I say separated. I separate myself from the marital situation where I moved upstairs in October 2020. When I moved into the house around the corner, it was in June or July.
Guys, I'm checking my notes. His words aren't changing.
I found out. So the situation before Ken arrived was.
That's where I believe everything he's saying when it comes to that timeline.
I'm like picking the kids up for school. She's like, hey, can you watch the kids while I go out of town? And I'm telling you, the first time that I found out who she was even dating was because I helped her pay $5,000 to move into a brand new house around the corner.
Okay, this is what we need to know about.
I said, hey, Daddy, we got a Ring doorbell camera. We've never had one. So I'm looking at the Ring doorbell camera. Who has the key code to the house that I just paid $5,000 for? Because I was traveling. I want to be clear. When I started working, I was traveling to Charleston, South Carolina, Houston. I had a high-level corporate job where I had to fly in.
So, guys, do you believe this guy gave her $5,000 on this new home and his daughter told him that they had a Ring camera. How do you guys think that he was able to see Ken coming in that house and that Ken had the code for that house? That's the part I can't understand, because his daughter told him that they had a Ring camera, so he didn't know. So he didn't set that up. So how do you think he found out that the code to the Ring camera and he was able to see Ken coming in and out of that house? Maybe some of you guys got the Ring camera and you know how that could have possibly went down. And let's go ahead and read. Mama Dama says the end. But he wasn't there to support her in the death of her family members. And that is absolutely true. I think he was just a little too immature. And Mama Dama says that part. Oxymoron. Oh my God, let's be clear, is his clutch phrase. And he's trying to confuse people. But one thing I do see, Alpha Mac, is every time he throws out a time frame, I'm checking my notes. So the time frames that he's given, it's never changing. So I feel like the timeline that Marquez is giving is accurate because it has not changed. And as fast as he's talking for those timelines not to change, it's because, you only have to think about something when you're telling a lie. But when you tell the truth, it's going to always match up. And Mama Dama says no, but wanted her to go half on the divorce. Mama Dama, even though he's going to say that he was joking about that, I think he was absolutely serious when he said that. And the reason why he was serious is because it seems like whatever him and Trish did together, they always went half on it. So I believe he was serious when he said it. He just didn't want to look embarrassed because it was only $400. But why should he have to pay for the divorce? She's the one out here in a whole goddamn relationship. She should pay for the whole divorce. So I don't blame him. Pay half. You've already moved on. Why I have to pay for it? And two says, Mama Dama, if it was me and my hubby were cheating and someone in his family passed, I probably would only care about the kids and not him. Let me read that again too. If it was me and my hubby were cheating and someone in his family passed, I would probably only care about the kids and not him. Okay, I get it. For the fact that he's cheating, like you're not trying to feel sorry that she had a death in the family. Okay, gotcha too. Gotcha. And Mama Dama says you have to set it up on your phone. Yes, I've had to set it up on my phone too, but that's the reason why I don't understand how he got that code. Because I have a Ring camera, but I'm thinking somebody that's a little bit more techie could, maybe figure this out. At Toot Latrice, he was in the home when that happened. Huh. Oh, you're saying when when her parents and her sister died. Yes, he was definitely in the home for that. She was already cheating in 2020. Yes, I believe that she was cheating in 2020 because that's when he was upstairs, and I believe she was cheating with Martell and Ken in 2020. My question exactly. Okay. Yes, I think
Work with these
Trish been in
corporations
this
and I
game
went
for
back
a
to
long
hospital on the
time.
weekends. So also being in Atlanta cut down on their flights. But my daughter says we got a Ring doorbell camera. I'm looking at the Ring doorbell camera, and at 12:15, Trish is coming in. This is the night before I came there. So Thursday night is when Friday they're supposed to move in. Thursday night they had moved everything in. The kids are at the old house in the same neighborhood. 12:15, Trish comes in, Ring doorbell camera, 12:37. Ken walks up, boop, 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 got the key code before I do. And that was the first time I ever knew who she was talking to.
So y'all heard that. I think he said Ken came on Thursday and he was coming on Friday and Ken had the key code. That's why I say these people was in a throuple. He knew about Ken and Ken knew about him, and they was pretty much sharing Trisha. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. You knew this man had a code and you just spent $5,000 on this house. Come on now. Somebody would have been paying me back, or I would have been taking her ass to court You know what I'm saying? So that she would have had to pay me in the divorce. Something just ain't adding up. Alf Mack says, I do believe Word Salad is telling truths, but he's not taking accountability in anything that happened in the marriage. And I agree with that, Alf Mack. But Carlos gonna call his ass out in a minute. If he truly was attached and cared about his children, why didn't he take care of his children primarily? I think that the reason why he fell back a little bit is because Ken was using his money to throw it up in his face, and Marquez felt less than because he didn't have the type of money that Ken had to take his kids on these lavish vacations, let them drive these cars or whatever. So Ken used his money to make Marquez look bad as a dad. That's how I feel about it. Okay. So I think somebody might have the answer to this door ring thing. So Mama Dama says, see how you get access. And Alf Mack says, dude left to pursue his own life's goals without his family. Make it make sense. He did, Alf Mack, but he didn't go very far. And Toot says, let the kid stay with the mom and he'll always have an in. Okay. Yeah, he could have been looking at it like that. He can always, because they feel like they can always come back to the baby mama. And Alf Mack agreed. She said, Toot Latrice, bingo. That man did not want them kids. He was too immature, didn't have a stable job. Trish was the more stable parent. That's just nasty. She probably never would have allowed this man to have her kids. She's always said that he was immature, like to hang out with his friends. And Mama Dama says everybody is lying. Everybody on this entire show, Mama Dama. Absolutely. And Tula Tree says, Mama Bees, it is nasty. These people was doing some nasty work. Everybody was sleeping with everybody. And Soundcheck Annette said, they all sound like swingers. They do. And talking about all these threesomes, and now we know that these people were in a throuple. It's just so nasty down there in Huntsville, as Toot calls it. And Alpha Max says, Toot Latrice, I also think he expected her to not move on and date anyone while he was doing him. No, I don't think he thought that, because keep in mind, he said that Trish and Ken has been communicating ever since 2018, 2019, and Ken was in them DMs, and Ken was letting her know that he wanted to lick the box. So he knew that when he wasn't there, that Trish was going to be hooking up with other people. And Toot says she was already doing some folks. I think they may have a teenage first love promise. They both said they will always be there for one another. And even if they didn't have a promise, sometimes too, that first love thing, it does stay with you sometimes. It does stay with you. So that could have a lot to do with their undying, love for each other. But he says he's not in love with her.
I asked her, I said, Trish, I showed it to her right away. She said, mind you, she's out of town with her friends. She's out of town with her friends, allegedly. And she says, oh, we just had a meeting about the gym.
At 12:30 at night?
At 12:37. I got the video on my phone right now, and I'm not going to be messy, but I have it on my.
Because she had a meeting with the gym, by the gym.
Hey, and she had sat out and I heard about the meeting with Martell, and I literally walked in. I waited for 30 minutes to make sure I was hearing what I heard, and I walked in and I told her, "You're crazy, because why would you put herself in a situation where Martell is dealing with all of this?" And I swear on my, I'm not gonna swear, I promise you, the very next day I went to the courthouse and I ran into Melody filing for divorce.
So that leads me to believe, again, she was still with her husband. when she was going to the gym or meeting up with Martell, going to Martell's house. And he said that when Trish told him that she was meeting up with Martell, obviously she said she was going to train Martell. And, he said he sat there for 30 minutes to see, like, are you serious right now? And he said the very next day he was at the courthouse and he ran into Melody filing for a divorce against Martell. Do you guys believe that? I believe it for the simple fact that he brought Melody those flowers because now that all of this stuff is coming out in the open, you know what I'm saying? He feels like him and Melody was in the same boat. Like their spouses was cheating on them with each other. You know, whatever the case may be. So I don't know if he thinks that him and Melody got something in common. They can cry on each other's shoulders or whatever the case may be. But I do believe him when he says that he ran into Melody at the courthouse filing for a divorce. Because, first of all, this place is so small. Everybody probably runs into everybody at the courthouse. So I believe him. And Mama Dama said, I'm exhausted. That's why they won't be getting my view. Yeah, it's a little too much. I gotcha, Mama Dama. And Alpmac says, Mama Dama. And Mama Dama says he's telling on everybody. Carlucifer is very quiet. Cause he's just like got diarrhea of the mouth. Boy, bye.
So they were.
This man got them confused. He ain't never been this quiet.
And that's what you're saying.
I mean, I don't know what they were doing. I just know that there was conversations, and I know that whatever it was, I wasn't physically there to say whether she had sex with him or not. So I'm not gonna sit here and say she had sex with him.
That man don't be trying to protect Trisha.
If Martell is saying she came there a couple times, I don't know about y'all, but if I'm going through some stuff and you going through some stuff and you come to the house, I mean, we probably not making it. Yeah, we not making.
Ain't no talking going on.
So, but I'm not. I wasn't there, so I can't say.
Okay, so
and honestly, I feel like people who work out, and by Trish and Martell working out, and this just popped in my mind. I never thought about it like this before. Like once you start working out, you feel sexy, you exude sexy. You know what I'm saying? Them pheromones be going. And I wouldn't be surprised. If when she hooks up with these men, it automatically turns sexual because she's working out for a reason. She's loving what she's seeing when she's looking at mirror, so she's definitely feeling sexy. And so Alf Mac said, sound check Annette and Toot Latrice, everyone in Huntsville spreading it wide for any and everyone. Absolutely. And Toot Latrice says, Huntsville is about top Houston in STIs if they are not careful. Oh, so Houston has a high STI rate? I'm not thinking about moving to Houston, but I definitely got Dallas on the radar. And that's kind of close. And Alphabet says, it sounds to me like Word Salad was reading her text messages and watching her on the Ring camera. Could be because Trish is such an airhead. I can see how somebody can like really be sneaky and read her messages and get into her emails and everything. And Mama B says they were smashing. And Toot says Trish always sticking her butt out like she did in that video with Here for Hot Tea. Really? I didn't notice that. I missed Here for Hot Tea video because she took it down because they weren't supposed to be filming. And healthcare workers, hey healthcare workers, thank you so much for being here. And Alfmac said, oh, she's speaking. Okay.
Yes, I want to go back to the question. What happened in Florida and said you didn't show up to your daughter's game?
We're back on that.
Let's talk about that.
40K positive STI and like 14K.
I made sure, when she was like, I put her on my lap, we would watch IG video, watch YouTube, and I would just, dance was my thing. I'm like, I want her to be a dancer. I think this was when this was in 2022, I think. This is when they were kind of finally officially was like, okay, we're together. Um, but actually before that, she said, hey, I'm going to Florida. Zaria has this national competition with Rebel. You want to go half on this house? I'm like, sure, let's go half on the house, be on some family shit, even some family stuff, even though we're not together. But I want to be, those are the moments that we always had. We've always went on big trips and family trips and all that. So I wanted some sense of normalcy. Um, so she said, hey, go half on the house. On half on the house. I said, cool, okay, no problem. I'll give it to you. 3 days before it was time to give her the money, she said, hey, don't worry about it. The house is paid for. And I'm like, paid for? Like, by who? And she was like, well, my friend paid for it. Ken's coming. So I'm like, so you
You see what I mean? Ken was throwing that money around. This man, she had already, agreed with this man for him to pay half for the house. And then next thing you know, oh, the house is paid for. Like she really got off on throwing it up in Marquez's face, that Ken had this money, he was paying for things. Like, oh, she was loving that. And Alf Mac said, the network specialist, I can so see that because I be feeling myself now that I've been working out and eating healthier. Absolutely. And I know I feel the same. So I can totally see where these people who are in this gym, working out as they're, admiring their improvements or whatever the case. Yeah, I can see that when they get together, they want to show their body off like they ain't embarrassed. They've been working out, so they ready. So I can totally see that. And Mama Doma says, I can't. And Toot says, as a network specialist, the only thing Marque would need for the ring is the password. And if they are renting, the password may have been provided. Huh. And she thought because he was out of town or whatever the case, maybe she thought he wasn't going to be looking at the ring camera. But once his daughter mentioned it, maybe something popped off in his head and say, let me take a look at this ring camera. And Mama Dama says, jab at Ken. Oh my God. Mama Dama, do you like Ken? I thought you said that he had a lot of red flags. And she says, I can't with motor mouth. So when I asked that question of which one would you choose between Ken and Marquez, I think Mama Dama would choose Ken.
But so now we don't want me to stay in the house, so I had to get separate accommodations. And one thing that
he
really
said he had to get separate accommodations,
which is ironic that he brought it up
for that recital.
The year before, the year that me and my family were still, a cohesive unit, we went to Disney World and we did all the parks. And my son said, Dad, the only thing I want to do is Universal Studios again. And my ex knew it and everybody knew it. And I tell you, I got there the day after and they had already took my son to Universal Studios.
Okay, that's your fault. Why didn't you get there on the day of?
She gives me these times. But the reason why I missed the event is because you gave me the wrong time.
Who gave you the wrong time?
Because you gave me the wrong time. And then you got to think, this is a recital. Carlos, recital only lasts 5 minutes. So if you can say I was fast, but I'm going to tell you one thing. I was there, bro. I was there. And bro, even before that, you can say, hey, you missed the recital. But what about all the other recitals? What about all the other stuff before that? Like, well, I don't understand where this man or these people can inject themselves in a situation where I was a married father who cut umbilical cords. I have all of their memorabilia. My children are the only thing that matter to me. And yes, I'm emotional, but I'm telling you, I would rather cry on the outside than be crying in a jail cell because I was ready to crash out. And I need people to understand
that man said he was ready to crash out.
That's the reason. Listen, Marquez, one thing I want you to understand, I'm not saying you don't, but one thing I want you to understand is we know that is what you said earlier, how I call you reality stars, the superheroes of the industry because they're living your real life, right? And oftentimes you don't have a platform of this magnitude. It's a very mainstream platform to like there's a lot of eyeballs to express yourself.
So Mama Dama says recitals last longer than 5 minutes. I don't have any daughters, so I wouldn't know. So that's good to know, Mama Dama. And Mama B says, I don't like Ken Kong, period. Exactly.
And it's not every day that, Pamela and I talk to somebody who technically is not a cast member, but there has been so much conversation about you that Hadley and I both wanted you to have the opportunity to clear the air and talk about
I
your
caught that
truth
shade.
without any judgment, right? Because there's one thing Hadley and I just said before you got on. Listen, I just met you, Trisha and Ken, so I'm not here to talk about where you lying. I don't know any of those things, and neither does Heavenly. But we want.
So somebody mentioned this earlier that Carlos said that he wasn't a cast member, so he just said it. He said technically you're not a cast member, and he probably, well, he probably said that because he heard that when he posted that thing about Melody, or when he gave Melody the flowers, he called her his castmate. So Carlos wanted to make sure that he let Marquez know that he's not a cast member or whatever the case may be. And he just gave him the opportunity to tell his side of the story. So he wanted to make that clear to Marquez. And Courtney says, technically not a cast member. And maybe it was you, Courtney, that said it, that Carlos had said that to him. And Toot said, isn't the daughter competing like dancing dolls? If so, those routines do not take long at all. I'm not sure because I don't have any daughter. Well, my granddaughters are in dance, but and their stuff lasts a long time. And Mama Dama says, my daughter danced for 7 years and they last at least 3 hours. Really? Oh, wow.
To offer you
That's a long time
to address it because you are a big part of the conversation. And listen, you're a Libra, I'm a Libra. We are emotional people.
Now, Mama Dama, are you talking about the whole competition,
it shows that you
or
have
just your daughter's part?
the ability to feel emotion. And what scares me about most men is when they don't cry because they do other things when they bottle up their emotions. They take it out other things that they should not be taking it out on. So I think what you're doing is beautiful in terms of, you showing emotion. And in terms of whether or not Trisha gave the wrong time by mistake on purpose, I'm not here to.
Chris,
But
I never asked to be on TV. I think y'all should be looking
Got
at
it, Courtney.
Want to be on TV.
Absolutely, and I said that on my last slide.
People gonna say whatever they need.
So did y'all catch that? He said he didn't ask to be on TV. So if you want to know who's lying, look at the person that wanted to be on TV. Okay?
Say it, they're gonna stick by it. What you here have nothing to lose. I'm only here. I told you, but at the end of the day, Carlos,
Gotcha, Mama Dama.
More conversation. I want to say this. Where are all the comments from the men? I question where can we get men in these comments? Can I get someone who can objectively from a male's perspective? Dr. Hamlin, I would love to know what your husband's thoughts on this scenario, And then
now this way he finna make himself look stupid.
If someone was in your inbox or putting dentistry tools and tooth under your IV and hey, teach me how to
David would have fought you, whoever was doing it. I think he would have fought to death about his woman. He just, and I think the right shit is saying.
That's true.
Dr. Hamlin said that she think that Dr. Damon would have fought to death about his woman. Girl, that man is not gonna fight over you. Like, Dr. Hamlin, I know that's your husband and you love him and he love you, but I don't see Dr. Damon fighting nobody over you. I'm sorry. And Courtney says he turned red pill real quick right here. Yes. And Tula Tree says, I love this part. He said a man's opinion. Yes, and Carlos is in his face. But he did specify the comments though. So he wants some men in the comments. But men don't watch this show, so you're gonna have a hard time trying to find some men in the comments, Marquez.
Crash out. And listen, I understand the value of like my life and my children's life, and nobody wins, but I'm telling you on a day-to-day basis, there are those moments where crashing out is like an option.
No, and listen, obviously, reality TV is watched largely by women. So the thing is that a lot of men, Marquez, it is what it is. they're not going to be on YouTube.
But we need our own show, Carlos. We need to do a show called. I'm telling you what's needed. I'm telling you the conversation at least.
Carlos laughing at that man because he like, dude, I would never
We'll talk about it later.
start a show with you. He read the comment. You know everybody think you slow.
October 2nd, 1985. I'm an 80s baby.
October 2nd.
Wow.
Same birthday.
Shout out to you, Carlos. So now you really know how I feel. We gonna talk
I want to make this one point. I just want to make this one point right quick. There are three sides to every story, Marques.
Hello.
And the thing is learning from this experience right here, because I already had in my mind what kind of ninja you were. You know what I'm saying? Based on the conversations that they were having and that $400 for the divorce. Like,
what about that to Heavenly? Ask about that. Hold on. Let's come on.
Let me just say this. This man talks so much. This is a quiet I've ever known Dr. Heavenly to be. She ain't been able to get a word in. This man talks so much.
Is this you cast members, so you get the short end of the stick. They get green screens. They get all the time to explain their side.
You are not a cast member.
Giving you this opportunity to speak.
Man, I think you should.
Just watch it. Oh shoot, I'm just watching what everybody in the world is watching and giving my honest opinion. But you don't have the opportunity to give your whole story. Like I would have never known based on what Ken said. They were not even talking. They were just talking about the gym. He never said about nothing about no oral sex. It was just a whole bunch.
Stop playing. Of course he gonna say that. But hey, Dr. Heavenly,
talk about the $400.
Oh my God. This man never answers the questions. Healthcare worker said, child, that man doesn't want you. Calm down. Calm down, hellish.
Now you want her to pay half of.
Now you know you've been with somebody for a long time. You know good and well it was a joke. Stop. It was such a my face.
So you agree, Courtney? Why I was thinking this, Heavenly barely got in on this interview. She known to be running her mouth. This man was talking so much she couldn't even get her thoughts together.
Fellas, you think I'm gonna let a divorce hoe? And I would say go half because I go half everything. Trish, you want half? Okay.
He said they always go half on everything.
And it was a joke. And I say, it's a joke, y'all.
And I said that you can a divorce.
Well, let's not let the money situation and this provider situation cloud your judgment of who I am and my character. I know. I'm learning now. Hey, I gotta be careful.
Wait a minute. Trish always want to brag about how much money her man got let her pay for it. And even, on the scene, she said, oh, well, Ken gonna pay for it. Let Ken pay for it. Ken got all the money. And on top of that, you the one that's stepping out. You pay for it.
Clip that with TV. Look, you were not there for your kids. You did not show up. And I'm gonna ask you the question: was there some type of other thing that makes you have more of a priority other than your family? You know what I'm saying? Anything you struggle with to keep you from your family? Because you made it seem like you came down there, you did all this, and then you did not show up.
Okay, let me catch up on these comments. Courtney said, Marques, that was not a joke. You wanted to go half. He did because he says they always go half on everything. And Alf Mac said, child, kicking it with Courtney, called it perfectly. She always does. And Mama Dama says they both like Ken. Yes, him, Hellish, and Carlos like Ken. And Courtney says, why, thank you, Alf Mac. And Mama Dama said, you spent all this time defending yourself. Mama Dama, give that man a break.
Sure. Halfway there, being 7 minutes away, you still missed the recital. That's the way they're making it look.
My children are my number one priority, and they've always been from the day one. But I also know that there are times out here, like, what do y'all expect? Am I supposed to just? So if she tells me 2 weeks before that there's a recital and I'm out here trying to figure out how I'm out here making income, or I'm out here having a job, or I'm out here having anything that made me miss an opportunity was definitely an opportunity to make income and provide for them. Or it was a last minute situation where I wasn't given enough heads up because you gotta think dance is expensive, and my daughter goes on 5, 6 dance recitals and all of that, flights and all of that. But you need to be able to plan. I'm not broke by any means, but I'm also not in the position now where I'm headed to and where I expect myself to be based on the things that I'm doing now. But nothing has ever kept me from being there. I told you, the time was given wrong, and I'm sorry I missed that 5 minute dance recital, but I was there. I was in Florida. I spent time with him. I did everything.
That's a good point, guys. Out of all that time that he said that he spent there, that whole weekend, even when they went to Disney or whatever, he brought up the one time that he was not there. Why didn't he talk about all those other times? Like Marques made a good point. And Mama Dama says, following Marceau advice in this whole interview. Yeah, I don't think he's so much following Marceau's advice. I think he's like, just debunking everything that Ken had to say, pretty much. Ken and Trisha. Anybody would be crazy to follow Marceau's advice. He need to take his own advice. And Mama Dama says, not Mr. Corporate.
Could do with the feelings of knowing that this man is over here sleeping in the house that she just told me to go have for.
Now that was wild.
Okay, at the end of the day, when it comes to this soon-to-be blended family from a legal point, on the divorce,
Get that.
Ken has said on our show, me and Heavenly show, that he has all intentions of proposing to her and marrying her. So at some point, you guys would be a legal blended family. Where would you like to see things end up in Ken?
Did you know that aging begins in ourselves? New 1-Day Age Factor defends against self.
I don't think Ken gonna be here at all.
Woo, now this the part.
But say
he said he would be. He said he's never leaving. That's what he said.
Well, I'm gonna tell you one thing. I watched the interview, and for 17 years, I went through the same stuff, and I never once left that household.
He said he watched the interview,
and you only been there 2 years. Good luck, buddy.
That's what I said in my rebuttal. I said,
hey,
you've been out with this years, dude. You don't even know this chick. You don't even know her. How could you say that? I've been with my husband 30 years. I can't say what tomorrow may bring. I can't say.
I think Ken is starting to realize what he's up against. I think Ken is also realized he's getting his head big because he's getting his inbox and his DMs and he's feeling like his work. But I'm telling you, if you can't handle 2 years with Trish and you leave the state for 3 days, good luck.
It's about to get worse. Yeah.
So guys, just in case you didn't hear that, Marques said that he doesn't think that Ken and Trish is going to be together that long because if he can't handle Trish after only 2 years and he had to leave the state for 3 days, then there's no way. He says he was there for what? How many years? He said 12 years, 17. I don't even know at this point, but he says that man gonna be out of there.
I don't know what it's gonna be, but back to your question. Hypothetically, if it were to be everything that it should be, I would ideally love to have a cordial relationship, a non-hostile situation where there's boundaries set and where there's communication, effective communication, and an opportunity to break bread with him and figure out who he is as a person. Because to this day, I still don't even know who he is.
17. I thought he said 17.
About him. And like I said,
that still seems hard to believe because they're so young.
My children. He was in a whole nother relationship for 10 years. She found his location. She pulled up. Trish let her in. The girl said, you gotta go. The following week, he was in the house. Nobody told me. I kept saying,
I messed up. Did y'all hear that?
Marques, thank you so much for...
I messed up. Give me 1 second.
Says the Sleep Number Smart Bed is worth it? Our nearly 200,000 5-star reviews from Paul.
It's not 5.
So Mama Dama says redemption interview. He's going to try to get back with her to get at Ken. That man is not trying to get back with Trish. And Mama Dama also said you had dinner with them and cried. Now let me see.
Again, I'm sorry, I lost track.
I'm saying during that 4-year period when you all were separated and you were upstairs and during your divorce took a long time, right? So everybody in the world, well, I'm thinking in my mind that at some point y'all might get back together. during that 4 years, was there ever a period of time that you guys thought about, or you could thought about getting back with Trish?
Okay, so what he said was he also seen on the Ring camera where Ken's girlfriend, wife, or whatever the case may be, came to the house. She must have followed Ken there, and she told Ken it was over. She was done, and that's when Ken moved in with Trish. And he said he was not expecting that. But again, throuple. He knew about Ken, and Ken knew about him, and they were all going along with it.
Those 9 months and that year that I was in the house, everything was trying to figure out how to work towards saving the family. But then when this Ken situation came and it became a toxic
throuple.
situation,
It became a
shut my
throuple.
mind off from being able to effectively communicate because I was so consumed with the altercation and how she reacted to it and how she treated me as if I wasn't with her whole entire life. And you just met this man. So like we never really got a chance to talk about it. And when I did bring it up, she'd be like, "Oh yeah, let's get it done." I mean, I'm the one who drafted up the divorce papers to get her to sign it. But Trish, I can't honestly say there was anything holding me back other than that first year and a half where I thought maybe there was a chance. Now outside of that,
Mama say he
those
lying.
months, I think it was because of what was going on that it was like we didn't even really talk about it, and it was more or less like I guess at some point we'll get it done. But I really had conversations with her about it on several occasions, and for her it was just like I said, pulling teeth. All right, we'll work on it. We'll talk about it, and never would get.
I think that Trish didn't want to get the divorce because I think she probably thought that he was going to try to bring her in court, say that, she's been cheating on, him. She got proof and she was going to have to give up some money. So she was just going to wait it out till, maybe he found somebody and wanted to get married. And then, at that point, he would have to move forward with the divorce. Like she just wasn't in a hurry to get a divorce. And maybe because she was the one that was cheating. Mama Dumma said, pause, that was a long one. That man is very long-winded.
Wow. Look, I want to listen. I'm glad you came on. I hope you feel like you got everything off your chest and you were able to explain yourself because that's the purpose of you being here. And look, I'm going to say this. You're not going to follow it just yet, but I would love for you not to read comments on people talking about you because that can take a toll on your mental health and that can take a toll on your confidence. And I don't want that for you.
Dr. Emily, I ain't gonna lie, you had me over here almost in tears, man. Hey, but look, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this.
He said Dr. Heavenly had him in tears, almost in tears.
You would have been asking for everything you said, but man, when you said that I didn't be asking permission to see my kids, you said Ken was a better man than I.
Did you not?
I'm talking about Dr.
Dr. Heavenly said Ken was a better man than him.
But I want to say this because I say this because I respect Dr. Heavenly and I understand the platform where we are, and I understand that you're looking at it from a lens of someone who's watching this TV show because you don't know me. So I don't take it personally. But I did feel like when you felt like you didn't want to extend me any grace, and I felt like I just felt like it just hurt because it's like as a man, like, and then they see me crying, it's like, dang, you over here and you're trying to be like, open and honest and accountable, and then they think that you just really are not shit. Like you, hey, sorry, brother Tuck. Yeah. But I understand it though.
He said he's over here crying and they see you like you ain't shit.
I hope that what I've been able to tell you that you would be able to extend that grace to me now.
Absolutely. And you know what? Straight up, I apologize to you. But I can't help what I saw on TV. I have and you know what?
Mama Dummy won't heavily to get him.
When you confused and the people they don't be telling the truth. But I can see that my whole image of you, brother, has been changed, and that's why we did it. At first that was kind of weird, but you think, no, we need to hear from Marques because there's always three sides to every story.
I believe you expressing yourself and telling your side is way more important than anything, because like what Heavenly said, this is a triangle situation. And we heard from the
Alf Max said, see, when people say we were working towards getting back together, the interviewer needs to ask, well, tell us some things you two were doing and where it went. Okay, Alf Max. Oh my God, because they can just always throw that out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, Trish probably done moved on, like she said, and you still think y'all working on your marriage while you hanging out every night getting drunk with your friend. Child, please.
other two. And I wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to express yourself. And that's the reason why you are still filming on the show. Thank you.
I was with Melody last night. Shout out to Melody Cherie.
Ooh, that's where he went wrong.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just saying, in what capacity? Because the people that when you say,
Oh my God. Carlos gave him the eye roll when he said that he was with Melody last night. And then Heavenly jumped in and said, well, in what capacity?
with it.
In my
Were you with Melody?
I went to Mimosas with Melody event. I went to
Okay, thank you. Don't with the Melody.
It's okay. They're gonna say it's Carlos' fault and they're gonna blame Edit. So the thing is,
Ooh, now he finna get with him. You done brought up Melody. It's time for you to go, Negro.
My hope for you is at the end of the day, Marques, this is my hope for you. And this is from one black man.
He don't like Carlos. That's why he direct all of his stuff to Heavenly.
If you can look at the things you may have contributed to situations, okay? And take some accountability for what you contributed to some situations, not all, but some. And the best people in the world, Marques, who do reality, they look at themselves on TV and say, okay, I could have done that differently. Or, I could have handled that differently.
Yep, she did
Or,
too.
I don't know, people thought that way. So now that I know, let me do better. That is my supreme hope for you and for everybody on my shows, is to always look at these situations, Marques, and say, let me look within to see how I can be a better person based on what I've been seeing, right? And I think because you are somebody who's very
Now he don't never talk to people like this. He talking to him like that because he thinks that he's ignorant. I mean, yeah. No, he didn't do that with Ken. They, made like Ken was just this good man, and now he breaking this man down. Really?
well in tune with their feelings. I know that you're going to go places because you do have that quality.
Absolutely. I think
Oh, well, that was nice.
I want to add to this. And Carlos, you tell me if you agree with this. Yes, he needs to look inside, but he also has to speak his piece. Because if you're just looking inside what you did wrong and not saying what the real situation is, which I haven't seen.
She been having this man back. Her and Carlos ain't seeing eye to eye right now.
What they're saying about you. You know what I'm saying? You also have to capitulate. Hey, you know what? I was there. And I did this, and the reason I missed this was because y'all gave me the wrong answer. You gotta say that stuff because the people don't know, and they gonna run with the narrative, So my thing is, stand up, brother. I appreciate you coming here. It took a lot of courage for you to come here today, and I appreciate you, and I thank you for even telling your story because I think it helped a whole lot of people.
Well, I just, for one, Carlos, Dr. Heavenly, I want to say thank you for one, because I do truly understand the opportunity for you to give me my side and be able to bring some clarity. Carlos, I definitely want to say that I have been more mindful. I've been more thoughtful, and I've been internalizing things that I've done incorrect, specifically based on this show. So I think everything you're saying has occurred from the time I started in March. And we're in August. I've grown exponentially, and I've seen myself in the things that I've done.
Wow.
And so those are the things that
He said he started in March.
Like not making any excuse.
Looks like we got some stuff we got to say.
So those things, because now I can't give anybody an excuse. And then when it comes to you, I have to speak my piece, because the peace part is speaking it is what allows me to have that peace, because it's bottled up. And that's why I said we need to have more conversations. I want to have more conversations, because I'm not the only one that's going through this. And not everybody has a platform like Dr. Heavenly, Dr. Carlos and Dr. Heavenly to give their third side of that
It's
story.
therapy for me, brother.
But thank you.
Therapy for me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Heavenly, because it had me, you had me and my 95-year-old grandma praying. I'm like, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tell your grandma to call
You're not
me.
finna be having me, dog.
Tell her to call me up, baby.
I'm gonna tell her, she gonna pray for you. We're gonna pray together. I will. I'm gonna tell her, hey, you send it to me. Because she was.
Give my phone number.
Carlos is not finna get that man your phone number. You don't want that man stalking you.
I'm Marques gonna tell you. Yeah, Marques is a lady for real. She is 95 years old. Okay, text her on the brick. She ain't got no cell phone.
Why can't you text her phone and you text over her behalf?
Well, just text me to keep out the so many
Okay. I'm gonna do that because she would love to talk.
See, now he looking weird, for real.
All seriousness, I'm thankful. It is what it is. I truly do want to see a positive outcome for all of this involved. And at the end of the day, I want to be happy. I definitely have taken.
Ladies, he say he ready.
I'm thinking more about my mental health and more about
He
my.
ready for a relationship.
I'm excited about the future, honestly.
So if you like them green eyes, you like that red bone.
All right, I would love to let everybody know that because of my current situation, I created a podcast called the Break Bread Podcast, which is all about breaking bread.
We're gonna be watching his Breaking Bread podcast.
Relationships and the traumas that we deal with. So I like to bring people together who want the opportunity to break bread. And if you break bread with someone, you can no longer be enemies. And if you look up the word enemies, it means hostile. So I no longer want people to be hostile. They may not want to be best friends, but they don't be hostile for the betterment of the children. So the Break Bread podcast is coming out soon. And I also created a clothing brand called Don't Crash Out. So it's Crash Out.
Don't Crash Out clothing brand.
I want people to know that, crashing out is doing something and knowing that the outcome is not going to be good. And I really, really feel strongly about my emotions and the emotions
like
of
that.
Black men and women too, who are going through this. And I created these brands that'll be coming out, and and I have these connections, and I want us to create more conversation around this. So I'm in it. You can find me on IG, Instagram, Mr. Period Make It Happen 365.
Mr. Period Make It Happen 365 on Instagram.
My nickname is the Black Godson, which is my idol is Clarence Avant, the Black Godfather. I consider myself a master connector, a person who understands the value of connections and relationships.
This man don't know when to shut up.
Going forward, I want to continue to build connections. I want to continue to build the legacy my father built, and create one for my children. So Mr. Make It Happen 365 on IG, Marques Burnett. And my name is Marques, not Marquez. I don't know.
Marques.
Marques.
I'm gonna be praying for you, brother. I gotta sign out, y'all.
Yeah, we gotta sign out, brother. Yeah, you gonna talk all night, word salad. Okay, so let me get caught up on these comments. Okay, so Mama Dama said facts, and I know I'm way behind, guys. I just wanted to go on ahead and get him off the screen so I can focus on the comments. And Valerie said, cause how you never know anything. And Alpha Max said he shouldn't have even brought Melody up into that conversation. I know why he did it, but I hate he did it because now he has a target on his back by CK. Exactly. He never should have done that. Everybody knew you were there. Everybody seen the picture, Marques. So you didn't have to do all of that. You were doing too much. That's why you be looking weird, because you be doing too much. And Valerie said, Ken is not a good man. Not at all. And Alpha Mac is right. He shouldn't have brought up Melody. And Mama Dama says, I'm done. I have a okay. And Alpha Mac said, Mama Dama. And Mama Dama said, you should have had those conversations with your wife. Yeah, he should have. He was too busy hanging out with his friends and drinking. And healthcare worker said Marques is not feeling CK at all. And CK is not feeling Marques. So the feeling is definitely mutual. When they did Ken's interview, CK called him a manly man. And I don't think Marques was feeling it. That's why he keeps saying that we need to have more conversations with men. Oh my God. But y'all heard him when he cleared up that he did not go to Atlanta. He's not gay. He likes women. So he wanted to put that out there. So he doesn't care if Carlos doesn't like him because, he don't swing that way. And Alf Mac said, Valerie, I'm cringing. And Mama Dama says, Dusty is available. No, she not. She dating Nail's son. And Valerie said, I'm happily married and my husband taller than me. Okay, well, yeah, we definitely like him to be taller. And Valerie said, right, Mama Dama, Dusty is always open like the 7-Eleven. And Mama B said he is trying to get a permanent spot on the show. But, Carlos made it clear he's not a cast member. So I don't think that's going to happen. Carlos ain't feeling him. He likes Melody too much. And Mama Dama says he will be on with Dustin next. I hope not. Yeah, Dustin been gone for a minute. Oh. Oh, Dustin will be back when the show comes on. That's right. So Dustin had a 3-week break. And healthcare workers said Kimmy and Maurice could be replaced by Ken and Trish. Kimmy and Maurice is beyond boring. And Toot Latree said, I love that. I love the shout out to Melody. He's a wild card. And Valerie says, exactly, Toot Latrice. That's why CK don't like him. He don't like CK. Absolutely. So guys, what is your feedback about the $5,000? Do you think this man really gave this woman $5,000 and she moved in another man? That's the main thing that I want you guys' feedback on. After we get past that, then I think we're done here. And about the ring camera. Does anybody have any feedback on that? I need a nap now. I know that's right, Mama Dama. We all need a nap. So, guys, we're gonna go ahead and end it here. I think we've all formed our opinions about Ken as well as whew, Marquez, and she just really didn't. I mean, out of those two guys, both of them are just not good picking. So, Trish just needs to just start over. Just forget about both of those guys and just start over. That's pretty much how it's looking. And Toot Latrice says, yes, I believe him. For the most part, I do too, Toot Latrice. And Valerie said, there is too many lies between them, so who knows? They're all telling lies. So at this point, we don't know who to trust. So I guess we just have to put our detective hats on and just come up with our own conclusions and our own, perspectives about all of these couples on this show. But guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching. And I do want to call out, let's see. As far as I know, we had Kicking It with Courtney in here this evening. I don't think I've seen any other content creators in here. So shout out to Kicking It with Courtney for joining us. We really appreciate you, my good sis. And please go and watch her channel. She comes on Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock a.m. Monday through Friday again. So if you're available during those times, make sure you check out Kicking It with Courtney. She has some great content on her channel. And most of you guys are already over there anyway. So I will see you guys over there on Courtney's channel as well. And okay, and healthcare worker says Kimmy and Maurice could be replaced by Ken and Trisha. Kimmy and Maurice is beyond boring. Yes, they are. And Toot Latrice says, I love the shout out to Melody. He's a wild card. Yes, we love that. And Valerie R said, Toot Latrice, that's why CK don't like him. He don't like CK. Exactly. And Mama Dama says, thank you, enjoyed. And Mama B says she believes him. And Mama Dama says, I'm always there with Courtney. Yes. And Valerie R says, I believe he told some truths. Absolutely, Valerie R. He did tell some truths in there, mixed with a little defending himself to make sure that he keeps his good name. And yes, so guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't done so already, like the video, subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you know each and every time I upload a video. Thank you guys for watching, and bye for now. Good night. Same.